Welcome everybody to High and Low, a podcast about talking picture shows.
We do films that are corny, some that are horny, some that win Academy Award.
Doing all kind of movies from all kinds of genres, serving hot takes like plates of lasagna.
Before we get going, a warning to you, you might hear some talk that's a little blue.
We sometimes cuss and we sometimes curse. We like to do it off the cuff and don't rehearse.
Now, if this sounds like your kind of show,
Tune in,
Drop out,
this is High and Low.
Welcome back to High and Low, the show that's a real gas. This is a show where we talk shit about two movies, one being a fine-tuned Ferrari, the other being a rusty jalopy. Today we're chatting about John Lasseter's high-octane kids classic, Cars. Then we're taking a cruise down to Malaysia, where we slide into the ditch for Carl Mendez's Cars ripoff, Wheelie, fast and hilarious. You want to take his word for it? I'm Luke, and I'm here today with my usual pit crew.
Vonn, how's everybody doing?
And
Mitchell, happy to be here.
so, if you guys lived in the Cars universe, what kind of vehicles would you be?
Oh.
I would like to be that old lady in Cars who's just like hot for everybody and just like kind of a little bit senile.
Oh, yeah. She's like an older car, like a Thunderbird or from the olden days or something.
Yeah, she kind of just gets to go around and do whatever she wants.
Horny old lady car. Okay, taking notes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're looking at it a certain way, like I was born in the 80s, late 80s, so what would a popular car be then?
Like a Chevette.
I'm a Chevette. That's what I would be in the Cars universe. Yeah.
Chevette. Oh, nice. I'd probably be my first car, a 1985 Buick Park Avenue.
Oh.
It's just a
Yeah.
seat of luxury, but absolute shit under the hood.
My-
We had a V6 3.8. I had to replace so many things on it. It was a fucking piece of shit. I'll never buy another GM.
Yeah.
Just like my shit body.
Yeah.
Crumbling day after day after day.
It really informed the rest of your life.
Don't get me wrong. I would definitely be one of those rust-covered cars where the bumper's like falling off when I like try to talk or something. But
Maybe you need a bit of Rusty's medicated bumper ointment.
it's a miracle snake oil cure.
Yeah, if we talk about like how our cars are, probably filled with garbage and like vomit.
So you brought up something interesting. If you're born when the car is born, does that mean that Lightning McQueen is a baby?
Yeah, what's his deal? There's little hints to his background in this. Like, I think the Rust-eze guys are at one point talking, and they're like, when we found him, he was just a rusty car that was driving down the street at night trying to race, and we shaped him up into a real race car or something.
Did they say that?
Yeah, I've seen this movie a handful of times, and I don't remember ever hearing that.
I think it's a little throwaway. It's like when the group from the Radiator Springs joins the group from Rust-eze, and there's just like a bunch of quick cutaways to different groups having conversations there. I think they just say that briefly at one point, but I could be wrong.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't watch Paul Schrader's Cars?
It was a mouthful of poor thing when we found him.
Got a little mixed up there, but
Through long work, long hours of whiskey and journaling.
yeah, he was a socially isolated loner, and we turned him into a racing machine. Yeah. But yeah,
Well,
I could be wrong about that. But I did. This is only, I think, my second or third time seeing Cars. I don't have kids like you guys. I don't.
But you have a younger brother. I'm surprised you didn't watch it with him more often, because it seems like it would have come out and be popular right around when
Actually,
he was the right
that's a
age.
good point. Yeah, I do have a much younger brother, and Cars was the hot thing when he was young, and he was really into it. It was one of those movies with him that kids get where they just watch again and again and again.
My kids never really got into Cars, which is fine.
it's not my favorite, but it is my kid's favorite. We've watched it many, many times, and it's a movie that at first I disliked, and kind of now I have a lot of fondness for it because I've had a lot of nice times watching it with my kid, and
Yeah.
he likes it. It makes him happy, and I find it pretty inoffensive as far as kids' movies go. It could use better music, I would say, is 100% things I knock it for.
It could be shorter. I feel the runtime when I watch this, largely because of the music. They have a bunch of different little montages, sentimental montages where they're just playing songs that I don't much care for, either bad covers, inferior covers, or people by artists or songs by artists that I don't like that much.
As I was watching this, I was like, it might be a bit too long, but I was also impressed how they brought back a lot of stuff from throughout the movie into the final race. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe that scene did have a point where he's trying to do this or that, and it pays off in the final race.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 57 minutes long, and it is long for a kid's movie, but like it does feel like it has a large scope.
Yeah.
I guess
It's kind of like Star Wars. Like, it's a total fucking world building, and there's a big journey in it, and you really feel like the character had growth of Lightning McQueen. Like, there's a lot of movement in the picture.
It's definitely getting that high and low effect of watching a good movie and a bad movie, too, where, like, after watching the wheelie... You really can appreciate a lot of the stuff Cars is doing. You're like, oh, God, okay, this is what it's doing, especially when there's such a direct ripoff.
Compared to Wheelie, Cars is like a symphony,
Yeah.
right? Like, Wheelie's just a bunch of a bunch of garbage being thrown into a dumpster.
This is a
It's
very...
those guys who bang on the fucking garbage cans.
Yeah.
It's a Robo-War Predator scenario again, where you're like, there's so many direct comparisons that you can make between them that it's just so much more glaring when something is done better in the other movie. But you're right, it does have a couple scenes where it's just full song scenes where they just play a full song, like beginning to end, and show a pretty cool thing going down though when they do it. But
Those quiet scenes are the scenes where my kid's normally like, can I have some peanut butter toast? Can I have a snack? That's where he gets distracted for a minute, and then I'm usually away from the TV.
So, yeah, exactly.
So
like
this time I was like, shh, I'm watching. I'm like taking notes.
this is very important. Yeah.
I'm like, I want to see this scene that we never normally pay attention to.
Yeah.
Like, his favorite part is the part with the tractors where they fucking go tractor tipping.
Oh, yeah, that's
that,
awesome.
That is a good part. Well, even that whole scene with the tractor tipping, that goes on for quite a long time, and it's all like Lightning McQueen bonding with Mater, but it does kind of pay off, and it does show him go through the steps. Lightning McQueen actually has an arc in this movie, unlike Wheelie and Wheelie, where Lightning McQueen starts off in the first scene. It's a big race scene. Both these movies start off with the big race scene.
Okay, speed. I am speed. Faster and fast. Quicker and quick. I am lightning.
He's pumping himself up with a little self-talk
I eat
there.
losers for breakfast. Maybe I should have breakfast. Brekkie would be good for me.
And it's funny. The jokes kind of work in it.
It's really Owen Wilson, and that's another thing I'll just heap this praise on up front. I think Owen Wilson is really good in this, and I'm not a huge fan of him, but if you've seen like all the other Cars movies as well, and the Cars on the Road series on Disney Plus, like I have a million times, like he never phones it in. He fucking brings it. He brings all of his comedic timing and all of his energy and all of his weirdness.
He's good. I also really like Larry the Cable Guy in this. I think he just slays it in the voice booth with this. I don't know. Like, you need to hose the thing down after he's done with it, with like all those like sounds he's made. He's like
But he fits
talking
the part.
loogies, fart noises, like all this stuff.
I guess I
mean, it's a pretty.
I can't knock it, really. You're right. I fucking hate Mater, but
He grew on me. He charmed me. I was ready to hate Mater, but the way I'm not fond of like the whole redneck crew of comedy or whatever, but I kind of liked him.
if you don't like redneck comedy, you might be a redneck. Yeah, no, not a fan of Larry the Cable Guy, but no, this is by far the best thing he's done. And
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's the role he was born to play, and it's
And he basically is
kills it.
doing his Larry the Cable Guy character because it's always
a
weird.
shtick. Like, I think he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
I remember reading this, or I'm pretty sure he's from the Midwest. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
his name is Dan Whitney. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
reading this in David Cross's book or something.
I've come across a few YouTube videos that'll compare him from like his early stand-up comedy days because he didn't adopt the Larry the Cable Guy identity until later, and it's just like him wearing like a sweater and slacks and doing normal comedy.
Yeah. He shouldn't just be able to put on that voice, and they shouldn't just cast somebody doing that voice who just does that voice, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Could have
that's
got
the
like
racist
a real redneck.
part of these two movies.
Or like
Yeah.
imagine how much better it would have been if it was like Tim Blake Nelson or somebody who
Oh,
really
yeah.
like has some character. I don't know.
Actually, he could do that well. I could picture him doing a hillbilly car voice.
So we're about to start off. It's the big race, and then we get this
Yeah.
Sheryl Crow song.
The Dynaco 400. It's the Piston Cup. We got the Sheryl Crow song. Real Gone, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, beanie, no, no, nee, nee, Real Gone, do, do, dee, dee, do,
It's trying to
yeah.
sound really cool and make this racing seem really cool. And I think the racing was pretty, I
It
had
looks
fun
cool.
with it.
Worked
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
song's not
it's-
doing it any favors. Despite the song, the race is pretty sweet to look at.
It's
Song's pretty limp. Sheryl Crow's done some decent stuff
She has some
earlier
stuff I
in her
really
career.
like.
Yeah, but later
it
on.
worked for me, this opening scene.
Yeah.
And, this whole race is loaded with details. Like, they come out into the track, and it's filled with the crowd all full of cars. And there's, like, you would have to watch this multiple times to pick up on. There's huge crowd scenes filled with all these CGI creations. The crowd's doing the wave with their headlights and all kinds of neat little car details like that.
You
And
get in the middle of the racetrack, you get all the tailgate party. It's a bunch of RVs just having
Yeah.
like barbecuing and having a good time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they
like
got like the
Bonnaroo.
beer chugging hats on, but they're like motor oil or something.
Yeah.
It's not clear whether the snack is gas or motor oil or both.
I think motor oil is like the solid, like the food, and the gas is
Oh,
like
okay.
the water or
That
the
makes
or
sense.
beer. Or, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because later they go to the V8 cafe, and that seems to be where they drink their gasoline. So, yeah, I think gasoline is a beverage.
Cars, they're just like us, drinking gas.
And so
Yeah, like from this first scene, you actually see that Lightning McQueen has some kind of arc because he needs to be humbled. He's too proud. He's cutting people off in the race. He's very self-assured.
Dick. He fired his crew chief already. and
Yeah.
he thinks he's a one-man show.
he's on his third crew of the season,
the
and
pit crew just walks out on him.
yeah, because he's a real jerk. He's a real hot shot showboater. He's like Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he hasn't learned any lessons about life yet.
So there's like a taste of this in the first scene of Wheelie, but it never addressed again. Or Wheelie does get humbled in the same way that Lightning McQueen does, but there's no character growth. It's not part of that movie's plot.
There's no character.
Oh man, I can't wait to talk about Wheelie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so McQueen's the rookie, and he's having this amazing season. He's the kind of the sleeper star of the season, and then we got Chick Hicks, and he's voiced by Michael Keaton, who's doing a good job in this, and Strip Weathers, aka the King, who's voiced by Richard Petty, the famous NASCAR driver.
He's a nice older car.
Yeah, he's a classy
Yeah.
guy
He's
in
got
this.
a family, got a wife. It's his last piston.
Everybody likes him. All the other racers, like compared to Chick, the competitor, like these are the three most famous race cars: the Legend, the Runner-Up, and the Rookie. They call them. And
Yeah.
Chick's like a bit of a showboat jerk too. And
You know what? I bet if Chick spent a week learning about small town life and living in pastoral America, then he would have been humbled by that experience too.
yeah,
That's what we all need, right? Is to get
yeah, some
get
small
away
town
from the
living.
big city phonies.
figure it all out.
Just
for a
go back to
while.
a simple place with
Yeah.
simple time and simple pleasures like driving for the sake of driving.
That's
Yeah.
right. Take your time and smell the flowers every once in a while.
Yeah, so Chick makes a big crash happen on the track, and it's pretty cool. And McQueen like is behind, and they're like, "How's he gonna get through this?" And he like weaves through all of it, and then he like jumps over another car, and he's got his tongue out doing like the
Like
Air
Michael-
Jordan.
Yeah, he's like that's what I have in my notes. Air Jordan.
Yeah, he's always showboating for the cameras any chance he gets. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, there's like these twins that look like young, sexy little cars,
That's right. Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh," and they're all like painted up like McQueen, and they're flashing their lights
yeah.
and whatever.
Flashing their high beams at him.
Yeah, groupies, car race groupies.
And so it's the race. Most of the cars are out of the race. They have to clear the big crash up. So they're going, and there's only 3 cars left, or 3 cars that matter: the Legend, the Rookie, and the whatever Chick is, the runner-up.
Runner-up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. He has never won the piston cup.
No,
Yeah, so McQueen doesn't pit, and they're like, "You need tires, you fucking moron." And yeah, he
He's so far ahead, he's almost lapped them. Like, he's getting to the point where he's, like, coming up behind a group that's a lap behind, but he's so vain and prideful that he keeps refusing his pit crew's advice to take new tires. He's like, just gas. I don't need more tires. I'm going to lap these guys.
one thing that I want to bring up is like the forklift people in this. They're like the only people with like
Yeah.
digits, like hands, and they can use them like hands.
They make the world
And
work.
you'd think that, like, well, in real life, forklifts are very limited in their scope. They do, like, one thing. They pick up and put down pallets.
Yeah.
Like,
they
in
have
this,
like a zero turning radius.
in this, forklifts play the piano. They play the guitar. They build everything.
They're the
They-
paint crews. You see them painting at one point with paint rollers, all
Yes.
kinds of stuff like that. Yeah.
They do all of the manual labor. They do all of the arts.
Yeah.
They do everything.
Like, if you've
You never really hear their opinion about anything.
Yeah.
if you've read like a Huxley, I think A Brave New World, they've got a genetic subclass that does all the work in that. That's kind of like what the what these guys are in this movie. They have to do everything well.
100%. Yeah, because they're never in a position of power. They're always working for somebody.
Yeah,
They are the working class in this movie.
but like
Where's their piston cup?
They-
Where's
they-
their flowers?
they
I know,
simply-
I feel like I'm a forklift in real life. I mean,
You know
not just
what?
because I drove one for like 20 years.
No, no.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not bragging or anything, but I
Yeah.
still have a forklift
Oh
license.
shit.
Did you ever do any painting with it? Like put paint rollers on it and paint a wall with it or anything?
No, but I spilled a lot of paint with it.
Did you ever like?
I work in a paint warehouse.
Did you go to the piano and play some Chopin or something like that?
Look what I can do. Bam, 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 bam.
No, you can pick up a piano with a forklift. That's about it.
Okay. So right off the bat, because of that, you realize that we're not really dealing with your typical reality. Certain rules don't apply. Forklifts have very limited in what they can do in the real world, but they can do a lot here. So we'd like
much more
everybody to
versatile.
suspend their sense of disbelief as we talk about this wonderful, wonderful world here.
Yeah. One thing we talked about ahead of time is we don't want to do just the hacky jokes that you see on like the front page of Letterboxd for the most popular reviews being like, how do they fuck? But like we do want to know, were they born?
yeah, exactly. Like
Was Lightning McQueen born a full-grown adult?
it's a good question. I mean, this movie raises these kind of questions.
What kind of kids are they having? Like, you
Yeah.
know, if Mac hooks up with Sally or something like that, is it going to be like a half Corvette, half semi truck, or like
Wow.
kind of what's their DNA mix
I don't.
like?
I don't think they. Well, I think it's pretty clear they don't sexually reproduce. Just to get this out of the way, I know we said we weren't going to do this, but they do not sexually reproduce. They do say at certain points in the movie, "Thank the manufacturer."
Oh,
Okay.
I did not have sexual relationships with that tailpipe.
Interesting.
Yes, you did. Have a cigar, tailpipe.
You're impeached. Yeah.
So
The manufacturer is God, apparently.
okay,
So this
Okay.
is a creationist world.
And they have like the
tracks.
mother road they keep talking about, where like the mother road brings the flow of cars here, and
that's like
I
coming from
assumed
the-
the
No, that's
heaven
just
is
talking
Detroit.
about a road. They're just talking about Route 66.
but then they do have there is like bumper stickers at one point. It's showing inside all their shops, and there's like a bumper sticker that says like "Thank the Mother Road" or something like that.
It's
which
weird.
could
I've
just
never read a religious element into that.
well, the people in Radiator Springs. You know how like we're still discovering the previously unknown indigenous tribes in like the Amazon, and that's what like the people in
We
Radiator
are
Springs are. Yes, actively whacking through the bushes.
yeah. Oh,
No,
there they
but,
are.
you know, like
You're
how
whacking through
we're
some
learning about, like, you know, the two civilizations are meeting each other. That's kind of like what this is, where they're just like two completely different civilizations who barely knew the other existed, just like
Yeah.
colliding.
Do you mean
I've been to Amazon, so remote. There were tribes of people that were cars there. These people were actually cars. They had no organs. They had components of a vehicle.
they still worship the Mother Road in these uncontacted tribes?
In Germany, we also worship a road. It is the Autobahn, but we are not primitive like these car people.
I watched them for days and days. They do not appear to reproduce sexually. They believe in a maker.
Yeah.
May we all be so blessed by the manufacturer, as they say.
Yeah, God bless us, everyone. Yeah, it is weird because there is like at one point in this movie, there's flies buzzing around, and it zooms in, and you can see the flies are actually little cars and stuff like that too. That raised a whole other category for me of
Yeah, that's bizarre. There's no car animals. besides car bugs, and the bugs are Volkswagen bugs.
Well, there's the cows. I guess those are tractors.
Yeah,
but,
and the tractors are cows, which made me think all the cars must be animals. Like even the cars are basically humans.
Tractors are cows, combines are bulls, but trains and helicopters and boats all have intelligence
Yeah.
and are not like human style intelligence.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's a rhyme or reason to it or what, but best not to overthink these things.
It's like Star Wars. The more you just like peek into those corners, the more you just regret it. It should just be taken at face value and enjoyed.
It's a community of cars. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Do you guys remember this cartoon? I remember being shown it in school, and it kind of had the idea was it was aliens looking down upon Earth, and they like looked down at our roadways and the way we had our cities constructed.
Oh, I think
and
I
they
did see this.
they thought that the cars were the people, were the dominating life force of the
Yeah.
Earth. And they said, well, then sometimes these little beings come out of them. Maybe they're parasites or something, or they like live
They have our
with
number.
among the cars or whatever. But like then they go to these houses, but the cars are the ones that move
Yeah.
around and do like.
I think, I remember that. That might have been one of those National Film Board of Canada animated things or something, because I remember
bet.
seeing that when I was young too. Yeah, that I think at one point it shows them humans like ppicking up after dogs and that or something, and it's like, humans really are slavish.
Humans pick up a lot of shit.
It's kind of an interesting idea, and it's kind of idea that's come around more and more. Is like we do not build our cities, at least in the West, in mind for people.
Yeah.
We build them for fucking cars.
Oh yeah.
And it's like we are living in the world of cars,
Yeah.
especially over here in Western Canada.
I'm sick of cars dictating how I live my life, which is why I really take umbrage with this movie. It shows what's going to happen later on if we don't stop it now.
This is just a car supremacy movie.
John Lasseter's dystopia. No, thank you.
And John Lasseter, noted sex fiend, sex pest, canceled.
Yeah,
Kicked out of
exactly.
Disney.
Thank
But this was
God.
his passion project.
It's his magnum opus. This movie has made Disney so much money, and everything it's spawned.
Well, he made Toy Story.
Oh, sure.
Sure, but well, between Toy Story and Cars,
The
those
most marketable movies.
yeah,
Well, and Cars, I think, has way more offshoots than Toy Story does. Like,
yeah, wouldn't
Toy
surprise
Story
me.
made 3 sequels.
but, like Cars has all those
series,
shows,
all the
and
toys.
I don't really see like kids with Toy Story backpack. When I see
Yeah.
kids, they have
Backpacks.
cars shit
is
everywhere.
forever, for sure.
Toys, video games. I mean, both of these things have spawned every type of merchandise you can imagine.
So
The 3 cars, they're going to the finish line, and Lightning McQueen, due to his hubris, blows both of his back tires and just like continues to kind of limp towards the finish line, which is like the equivalent of like somebody blowing off Usain Bolt's legs in the middle of a dash, and he just starts like clawing his way to the end. He's like, he
God
really
forbid.
kind of shows his mettle and his like will to win here.
Yeah.
He's a competitor, make no mistake.
Well,
but he doesn't listen to any good help around him.
No, that's his problem.
And so, yeah, he's crawling across the finish line as Chick and the King are coming up behind him, and they all pass the finish line at the exact same time.
Photo finish,
it's
and
so close.
due to Lightning McQueen's aforementioned tongue, that sticks out and reaches the finish line at the exact same time. So they're going to have a re-race 1 week later with just the 3 of them to see who's going to win the Piston Cup. The stakes are
Yeah.
pretty high, and they're
That's-
pretty clear.
It's
and that's when the crew quits, and like the guy's like, and McQueen's like, oh no, how am I ever gonna find someone else who knows how to fill me up with gas?
Yeah.
Later, Chuck. My name's not Chuck.
real
Whatever.
douche behavior.
He's just a dick.
He talks with the legend Strip Weathers at one point here, and Strip kind of gives him a pep talk like, listen, kid, you're a good racer, but you gotta, find a good team and talk respectfully to your people.
You're
And
not
that's
in
the-
it all by yourself. It's a
Yeah.
team sport. You got to find a good team.
Yeah, and as he's doing that, McQueen's just daydreaming about getting the Dynaco sponsorship that King has, and he's thinking about all the ladies and the helicopters and that shiny blue paint job. He doesn't want to be the Rusty's medicated
embarrassed.
bumper ointment guy forever.
They were cool animated. It like shows him like imagining he gets the Dynaco sponsorship and he like turns into a rocket ship and he's flying around, then a fighter jet and he's like shooting at a robot and stuff. And
that part's funny. There's like giant. All of a sudden, it's like a Bart Simpson fantasy where they go completely off the rails in a place you're not expecting.
Yeah.
He's flying around like a rocket ship, and there's giant spark plug spider aliens like
that was
lasering, and he's like fighting them.
not bad.
But like it explained, I think it works for a kid because I know my kid, a 3-year-old, he doesn't know what a sponsorship is or whatever, but now he does. He understands, he wants to work for Dynaco because he thinks that'll bring him unlimited fame and
Sky's the
fortune.
limit. He has to go talk to his sponsors. He has to make an appearance. He doesn't want to. He thinks that he's above it all, but he has to go and talk to all these rusty cars who he kind of like. They're like the lepers of the Cars universe is the way they're kind of treated.
Yeah.
Or just like ugly, poor, undesirable people at the very least. But yeah.
Who all seem like they have hearts of gold. They're just so happy to see Lightning McQueen
Big
there.
fans, and the two guys who own Rusty's, they're doing like Borscht Belt comedy, but they call it Rust Belt comedy.
Yeah, they're like
Which-
two brothers, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty witty. They're doing, jokes like, oh, and my uncle, he's so rusty, he doesn't even cast a shadow, and stuff,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, they're doing little back and forth banter, and
And the
no,
crowd's-
ask my brother. No, ask my brother.
Yeah, the crowd's so loving it.
Yeah, this is like the best tent. These would be the coolest guys to hang out with. But like you said, they're lepers. As Lightning McQueen's sneaking his way into the tent, and
Yeah.
there's the crowding around him, and he looks like he doesn't want to touch them. Like he's grossed out. One of their jaws falls off. He's so rusty.
Yeah, he goes like, he's like, oh, Lightning McQueen, I'm your biggest fan. And he's got like a license plate on that says Fred. And he's like, thanks, Fred. And he's like, he knows my name. He knows my name. And like his bumper falls off and rust goes everywhere.
That was a thinker for me. Does he go to the car surgeon? I don't know.
I love it because it's like a name tag. And it's like, you just see the name tag, some loser at this event.
But yeah,
Good folk.
Rusty's.
Good
gets-
salt of the earth folk.
That joke gets funnier for me every time I watch it.
They're so good to Lightning McQueen. Everyone there loves him. Rusty's is such a good sponsor, but he's just like there to do his pre-written bit with them and then go. He doesn't want to spend any time there. He's got to go to his big race.
Hey, just a few drops of Rusty's medicated bumper ointment, new rear end formula, and you can look like me.
He says the words, and then he just dips immediately. His buddy Mac, voiced by John Ratzenberger, who's in all the Pixar movies.
He carries Lightning McQueen's sophisticated trailer. I guess all the race cars must have this. It's like they go in there and buffing arms can come out and buff them.
Well, it's like a professional athlete where they have like their masseuse and they have their chiropractors or whatever. They have this whole team of people just supporting them and making sure they succeed. Like,
Makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's sweet.
yeah, he's got all the new light up doodads and gadgets and the music players and the portable
TV.
phones. Yeah, and Max seems awesome. He's like
You got your
they're-
microwave oven, your color TVs.
Yeah,
We got a
This thing's like
everything a car needs.
he's living a Dire Straits song. Here.
that would have been a better song to have here instead of this
Holy shit!
Rascal Flatts cover.
I
of Life
do
is
not
a Highway.
appreciate this cover, and that song would have been way better.
They took all the fucking gas out of that song.
so
Yeah,
we
they're
got-
on the road. Max having a great time. He's getting that rub down from the massage machine.
Yeah, Lightning McQueen is, and then Mac, he pulls up to this gas truck and like gets caught kind of trying to lick its asshole by this car that's passing by,
Yeah,
making tongue at the rear end of this gas
It's
truck.
awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit much. And she gives him a look too.
I think he's just kind of mugging in there.
He's
trying
making faces in the reflection.
Yeah,
But
he's probably trying to see if he has bugs in his teeth because that's a thing that happens to these cars when they go on highway drives and
That's
stuff.
true.
they're little cars that are the bugs. So that's a thing that I had questions about when bugs are splatting in their teeth.
Yeah.
And we've seen the bugs are cars. That's like if I was riding a motorcycle and like little Mitches and Vonns were flying
Yeah.
into my teeth and splattering it.
The problem is we needed some more animals in this movie to see if those animals are also cars, to see what the relation is here. Because maybe like a car just is a synonym for life. Like if anything alive is a car.
And life is a highway.
Rascal Flats.
Now we're really confusing our metaphors.
I could have done with some pets in this movie. I'd like to see like some little RC cars tooting around behind the bigger cars, something like that.
that seems like a missed opportunity, actually. That would be good.
It's always a win fine when there's a cuter thing in a movie filled with cute things. So there's
Yeah.
just like different levels of cuteness going on.
It would be almost too much.
I would like to see the baby cars.
I was watching
Your tribe does not reproduce sexually. Where are the baby cars?
There's a clip of Werner Herzog on the Conan podcast where he's talking about how he watches Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo. Here comes Honey Boo Boo.
It's pretty good.
The cars do not appear to watch Honey Boo Boo. This movie would have been better if it was directed by Werner Herzog.
They could have got him for a voice at least.
He wasn't
should
quite
have had
the
a-
name that he is now. Like,
Yeah,
now
they
he's
should have had a German car.
Oh
in there
yeah,
that-
they talk about Beamers, but his Beamer's German, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, but he's not in it.
He'd be like a 1950s like Mercedes or 40s Mercedes Benz. The jokes write themselves. I am Hitler's car. I regret my past.
So he's a Paul Schrader character.
It's got bulletproof windows, bulletproof eyes.
I did things in the past I'm not proud of, and I make atonement the only way I know how.
I'm a dangerous man, but Calvinism has helped me find the way.
I must relegate myself into the hinterlands so that I may not be a threat to the rest of society.
That could happen in one of the Cars sequels. I don't know. I haven't seen them.
Okay, in the second one, Michael Caine is like a James Bond type car.
Oh, okay. Like an Ashton Martin.
There's an
Yes.
intrigue element to the
Okay.
second one, right?
Yeah, and Mater gets roped into this like international spy thing, and there's like terrorism, and it's a fucking crazy departure from the first movie.
Interesting. Well,
It's
yeah.
got a lot more action, I'll say.
And it does seem in some ways like Mater is the breakout star of Cars, because like when you look on Disney Plus, there's 20 plus Cars related videos on there, and a lot of them are just Mater doing various
Yeah, they're
jobs.
Mater shorts. They're for the kids.
He's like the goofy,
Yeah.
off doing wackadoo things.
Do you
getting into
remember
hijinks.
that? They're like Mater's stories or whatever, and it's like his tall tales. And it's like, remember when I was your fire truck? It's like, Mater, come on, you weren't a fire truck. Oh, but I was. This what happened. You were there, Lightning. Remember when I was an astronaut?
I thought they were real. I didn't realize Mater was making them up. I thought he actually went to the moon.
So this is where Lightning McQueen gets a call from Harv, his Jewish-coded manager, of course.
Yeah.
Agent.
Heavily coded.
Well, it's brilliant casting because his agent is Jeremy Piven, who at that time was big for playing Ari Gold on Entourage.
2 or 3 seasons into Entourage, he was widely known at this point.
Like one of the breakout stars of that show, probably.
We never see what kind of car Jeremy Piven is supposed to be. He's always off screen in these
No,
movies.
which is part of it because he's got 20 free tickets for Lightning McQueen to bring all his friends to the next big race, but Lightning McQueen doesn't have friends, and part of it is like the only guy he's got in his life is this agent Jeremy Piven, but you don't even see him on screen ever.
Yeah, or somebody that he's riding inside of.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Those are like the
Mac.
only 2 people that he
Someone
ever
he-
associates with.
I
before he
need
goes
somebody
the
to move my
radiation.
trailer around.
And he's a fucking dick to Mac, even.
Yeah.
As we see in the next scene, where Mac, like, they're going cross country, and he's like, Mac, we can't stop. We got to keep going, Mac. And
All
Mac's
the
like,
way to LA, Mac.
oh, I'm tired.
Yeah, he's falling
like,
asleep
we,
at the wheel.
We got to stop at a truck stop. And no, we got to keep driving. I'll keep you awake. I'll keep talking to you. And, of course, Lightning falls asleep.
Yeah, so Max starts nodding off, and these little punk cars come up. They got the chassis lights and all the flashing everything.
They got
and
rap music.
We got ourselves a nodder! Which, so,
I don't call it rap music, by the way. I call it crap music.
well,
Oh, Grandpa.
I don't
Get
want
with
it
the
anywhere
times.
near my Cars movie, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got all the tricked out stuff. They're fucking with Mac as he's falling asleep, and then the one guy who's blasting the rap music, he changes the music on his speakers to Kenny G to like help Mac fall asleep.
It's the most beautiful lullaby song. He instantly falls asleep. Just it like immediately closes his eyes and he's right out like a light.
God damn,
Wouldn't you?
Kenny G suck.
Anyways, but we got a nice little Kenny G sprinkling here, and sure enough, Mac nods off. He goes off the road onto the rumble strips, and Lightning McQueen's kind of jostled around, and long story short, he gets knocked out of Mac's trailer, and
Well, he lands like right in the middle of the road for a while, and all the cars are like the oncoming traffic's coming at him honking, but he's still sleeping in the middle of the road, Lightning McQueen. But then he wakes up real quick just when some semi trucks are coming, and it's like a big action scene where he's dodging semi trucks and this and that. And
And he doesn't have any headlights. They're just stickers because you're a race car. They don't put anything on race cars that they don't need.
there's a couple weird things.
why
like,
do they put the stickers on at all? Even
Just
Good
because
question.
it would look weird as a stock car to
Yeah.
not have.
Like he also doesn't have a horn. That comes up later because race cars don't need horns.
so he is totally unsafe. He's unfit for driving in these conditions.
He's not
And
roadworthy.
he's put in a very stressful situation, and he responds with sheer panic and terror, which I think we all would too, gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, this is like he was built for this stuff, racing through cars and stuff. He's looking for Mac with his trailer, and
There's trucks with trailers everywhere. You can't tell them apart.
Yeah, so he follows the wrong one, winds up going down some kind of cruddy road, and he's going, Mac, and he pulls up, and what do we get? But, I'm Mac, I'm a Peterbilt.
yeah,
Yeah, he goes, "You moron!"
Yeah, just really choosing out.
That's fucking
Runs off,
uncalled
like,
for.
goes off grumbling.
yeah. He might even say, "Get some lights" or something like that.
This is definitely an anti-trucker movie.
Oh, the truckers have
That's
good,
what
good
the,
sense.
I assume that's what that trucker convoy was protesting the other day.
Makes sense.
The other year in Canada or whatever. So we see he's on Route 66 and he zooms by the sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff wakes up, starts chasing him, and then they make their way into Radiator Springs. And
He thinks the sheriff's shooting at him because the sheriff hasn't gone this fast in so long that his like engine starts backfiring, and
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm out of shape." Ugh."
which again raises some questions. Like, is a car able to shoot at someone? Lightning McQueen seems to think so.
did they do that in the
In
espionage
Cars
one?
too. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Oh,
That
okay.
might
Michael
like
Caine
James
car
Bond
has
cars,
like
right?
mounted guns, just
Oh,
like firing
yeah.
machine guns all over the place. Let me tell you something else about Cars 2. There's a weaponized fuel in Cars 2, and it's an alternative fuel that this evil company's making, and they can actually arm it with bombs. It's the plot of the movie. What was that one that had the water that was made explosive? You could detonate people's water and make their bodies explode. Maybe it was Blown Away.
I want to say Short Fuse. I'll look it up.
Amazing movie, but Cars 2 is basically that movie. And it's like, okay, well, Lightning's got this fuel in him now, and it's like, now he just hit the detonator, and they're blowing up fucking cars, killing them
Good
hard.
God, that's good. I mean that's not good, but I was wondering, like, can a car even die, sort of thing? Because earlier with those rusty cars, as they're slowly falling apart, I was like, does a car just stay alive forever as its wheels rust off and its bumpers rust off, and it slowly turns into a wreck that can't drive anymore?
Well, the body is always there.
Yeah, so
Maybe if you're just like a chassis that can't drive, you just like sit in a junkyard. You're like awake and you can never sleep. You can't scream. You
Yeah.
can't move. You're just in a constant sleep
it's
paralysis.
absolutely horrific.
It's like that. What's that Metallica song? One.
Oh yeah, with Johnny Got Your Gun. Yeah. It's like a landmine blew all my limbs and my face off. Now I guess I just lie in bed for the next 20
now I'm just
years.
like a philosophical thought experiment.
Yeah. Yeah. It all depends where the soul of the car is kept. We don't know.
In the trunk?
Well, makes sense. Yeah.
You know where it probably is? Where you keep the spare tire in the trunk, where it's like a hidden compartment.
spare tires
Move
are
that
a
jack
thing.
out of the way, there's the soul.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are spare tires, so there could be room in the trunk next to the spare tire and the jack and everything. But we don't know.
We know cars can die. That's all I'll say.
There's a monument. So as Lightning McQueen is being chased into town, he's kind of like destroying things, and along the way, he kind of gets snagged on this monument to a dead car, an old car who was in the town.
Stanley something or
Big
other. He's
Stanley.
like the Jebediah Springfield of this town.
Is that a Stanley Steamer? Wasn't that a car? Like a really old school car?
I think that's like a sex thing.
I think, I don't know.
Yo, I gave
was he
this chick a Stanley steamer. This is our first glimpses of Radiator Springs, and you can see it's a really sleepy town, and it's off the interstate. We got, like, George Carlin is, like, this Volkswagen bus. He's sitting there watching the traffic light just kind of blink red.
He's a hippie.
He's a
like,
hippie stoner.
every 2 or 3 blinks, it's slower, man. I swear to God. And, like, there's, like, the army.
Or the 60s were bad to you, weren't they?
Yeah, Sarge.
Yeah, they're basically the dude and Walter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
good
yeah.
call. Totally.
Good point. Yeah, well, this whole town's pretty close, a pretty close-knit bunch. There's no rivalries in Radiator Springs. They're all working together. They're the last remnants of this town. They all pitch in. They make it look nice, what's left of it.
Yeah, everybody's got their own little shop. You got the waitress who's got the kind of the malt shop where everybody gets their drinks. You have the Italian car who has the tire shop. You have the little motel shop. Anything you'd want in a little tourist trap town.
Yeah,
Right.
lots of closed down shops, too, because the heydays are over since they built the interstate, but...
Boy, we're going to learn all about that.
It's the whole
That's
thrust of the movie.
That's the thing.
It's a junkie town.
So anyway, Lightning McQueen tears up the fucking street with this Stanley statue that he somehow gets wrapped around him, and then he gets arrested and thrown into the impound.
Yeah, where he wakes up, and who do we see?
We get a news montage. Everybody's like, oh, Lightning McQueen's missing. He turned up missing. You get like a Japanese one where it's like a little Japanese car lady. You get Jay Leno.
Jay
Leno being like, hey, we're missing more like Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Hey, bit of a car guy myself. I'll be in your car movie.
Everybody know I got lots of cars in my garage. Come on.
He's on the Jay Limo show instead of the Jay Leno show.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good.
And it actually looks like his Tonight Show set. It looks like a pretty good recreation of it. from
It's
what I
pretty
remember.
good. And then we do get also like an Arnold Schwarzenegger clone.
He's
It's
a
like
Hummer.
He's a Hummer. And he's like, Lightning McQueen must be found now. And I can do a better Arnold than that. But that's the quality of Arnold impression we get here.
And famously, Arnold Schwarzenegger was known to be like the first civilian to drive a Hummer or own a Hummer for personal use on the roads or something like that. Like
I just walked into the barracks and took it. Nobody could stop me.
I said I was the first man to get a Hummer. I didn't mean that.
Because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I'll get a Hummer wherever I want.
I'm always coming.
I'm coming in front of the people.
How good was my life?
How good is
Classic.
I'm coming when I'm driving my Hummer.
I'm coming when I get an oil change. I'm coming when I get a gasoline intake. So he wakes up the next morning after the newsreel. Lightning McQueen wakes up, and who do we meet? But our good friend Mater, Lacto Mater.
Without the tuh.
Lightning McQueen's like trapped in a cage here, and he's got like a boot around his tire so he can't escape. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. He thinks he's been captured by hillbillies, and he wakes up and sees Mater, and it's a hillbilly horror movie for a minute there. Like the hills have eyes. You're like, oh, fuck.
You know what I just got thinking about? With a car waking up in a prison, I would also totally watch some sort of Rambo, like hardcore R-rated movie about a car
Yeah.
who just runs awry of the local sheriff and has to like run through the car jungle and
Take out a
Hardcore R.
hardcore R. I want to see some headlights.
Yeah.
I want to see some tailpipe.
It should be like a grindhouse movie, like one of those movies where somebody gets brutally raped and then they have revenge.
Oh God. No, Sally
Are you talking
Carrera.
Mandy?
No, yeah, but there's a whole genre.
What's that Wes Craven one? Was that?
Last House on the Left.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Last House on the Left.
I want to see Last Car on the Left.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
they just get really creative.
No, it'd be Last Garage on the left.
Oh, that's right.
Huh?
That is where cars live.
And Mater gets a little handsy with that tow cable of his every now and then. He's putting that in places the cars don't like. So in a way, that does happen to Lightning McQueen in this movie.
I might
Yeah,
take
like-
you to my junkyard.
I spit on your grave. It'd be like, I leak antifreeze on your junk pile.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we finally get to meet Mater. It's me, Mater. He goes to court, and he's like, hey, judge, talk to me, baby. I got to get back to California. Let's get out of here. Whip, lickety-split or whatever.
Yeah.
I got to be on the coast in 22 hours.
He's famous. He thinks he's going to get let go right away.
Well, he almost is, because like the judge comes in, played by Paul Newman. He's Doc, the town respected elder.
He's a big old fancy car.
He's a big old Hudson Hornet.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he takes one look at Lightning McQueen and he doesn't want anything to do with him. He's
I'm going to put him in jail until first he's like, I'm going to put him in jail until the jail rots on top of him. And then I'm going to put him in a new jail until that jail rots. And then he sees him and he's like, get him out of my town.
Yeah.
Throw him out of here. I don't want to look at him. I don't
He's
want to
no
see
good.
him.
He sees that he's a race car, and he doesn't like race cars. Get that punk out of here.
Lightning McQueen's all excited. He thinks he's going to go free, and then Sally Carrera rolls in and basically has a couple words with the doc, and all of a sudden, Lightning McQueen, she has this big speech saying that this guy ruined our road. Without our road, we don't have a livelihood. What are we going to do? He's basically like ruined our whole town. He's got to pay for it.
It's pretty impressive the amount of damage he was able to do by becoming entwined in steel barbed wire and wrapped around a statue, and he did trash their whole main road into the town.
In like 10 seconds flat.
Yeah.
It's pretty contrived.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's love at first sight with Sally the Porsche there.
And at first he thinks that Sally's there to help him because he's like, oh, this must be my lawyer. Now I'm in luck. And She-Boy lets the wind out of his sails right away, but he's pretty smitten with her.
She's a
like,
sexy car.
what's going on? She's like, me, you, dinner, ka-chow.
Right.
That's kind of his catchphrase.
We
ka-chow.
haven't talked about ka-chow yet. Ka-chow.
He says that at the beginning of the movie when he's like posing for photographs with the journalist. He'll go give a big ka-chow every now and then.
It's close enough to wow, which he does say a couple times in this movie anyway.
Yeah, Owen Wilson's catchphrase.
He's sentenced to repair the road, and they have this gigantic tar machine that they can hook up to and to repair it.
Bessie.
It's Bessie. Old Bessie will help him. But he's got to repair the road and get to the California or wherever the Piston Cup is within 7 days, and it'll take him at least 5 days to do the road if you're going to do it right.
Yeah. He gets hooked up to Bessie, and he just like immediately... Well, no, he doesn't get hooked up to Bessie. They're like, okay, time to hook you up to Bessie. And then like he just takes off and thinks he can drive away.
Maynard takes the boot off him because he's had the boot around his wheel this entire time. And the second the boot like unclasps,
that was pretty funny.
Maynard's like, maybe I should have hooked him up to Bessie and then taken the boot off. And everybody's looking at him like, you dumbass.
side-eyeing him.
But, the people of Radiator Springs aren't so dumb. They only put so much gas in Lightning's tank, so...
They're not country bumpkins.
Exactly. So they catch up to him like a half mile down the road or whatever.
Yeah.
And
they say
drag his
to
ass
him
back.
they siphoned his gas while he was passed out.
Yeah, that's like kind of in
like,
Ravenous, where he's like, he licked my blood.
Yeah.
He's licking me.
There's your hillbilly horror element.
They sucked his gas out?
Yeah. There's your I spit on your grave moment. My gas. Well, that's like we've determined that's a drink for them. So that's kind of like putting a stomach pump in and
Oh, man, I just want to get a straw and take a drink out of you.
have some gas.
Let's see what your gas tastes like.
Let's siphon his blood.
you don't
got to
do
get that good siphon going, and then it just flows
Yeah.
out, just pours out.
So they're in the middle
Very
of
touching.
getting Lightning McQueen hooked back up here, and then some tourists start coming, and these tourists, they're fighting, and the one car, he doesn't want to take directions, he doesn't want to ask for directions.
They're
she's like,
lost. Yeah, one of them. The
"This
guy
is
is
supposed to
Richard
be the
Kind,
intersection."
of course.
Oh yeah, he's lovely. So they've come off the interstate, so the whole town tries way too hard. Cheech Marin's in this movie. He exposes himself to these cars, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want to look at me?" And just like
Cheech Marin is
Yeah, check out my
Ramon.
undercarriage, man, or whatever
Yeah.
he says.
He's like a lowrider who works in a body shop, and throughout the movie, he'll have different paint jobs on and stuff.
I feel like it was a missed opportunity to not get Chong to
He
be
should
the
have been the hippie-
Volkswagen bus.
Like he must have been busy, right? 'Cause
Was he in jail at this time? I know he went to jail for a little bit in the
could
early
be.
2000s.
Could
maybe.
be. I mean, they got George Carlin, who's not nobody, but this is the only one George Carlin plays the role in because I think he died not long after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should have been
Yeah,
Chong.
that
and
definitely should have been Chong, the 60s Volkswagen bus.
To me, it seems like no brainer.
Yeah,
Cheech and Chong.
And he must have been in jail because when else does he ever turn a roll down?
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
go in
A giant
anything.
Disney Pixar role.
So yeah, they in pretty short order they scare these tourists off.
Yeah, everybody's desperate for their business because they don't get people passing through their town anymore.
They're very cloying. They get into the face of these guys, and it's almost has the opposite effect where they're using these like high pressure sales techniques. Like, why don't you stay in our hotel for the night? Why don't you get a body wash? Oh, you can stop in Flo's place and get a top up here. And they're like, no, please, no. Then they walk.
Everybody in the town is kind of a racial stereotype, by the way.
Yeah.
Or at least a stereotype.
They're
I
a
mean,
stereotype,
Flo
for
sure.
is
Yeah.
a black lady. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'd call her a stereotype, but
No.
She's an energetic black lady.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but I mean, the Italians at the tire shop,
very much, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Luigi and
Mater's a
Guido.
stereotype. He's
Yeah.
your kind of country bumpkin.
Yeah,
They
Luigi
also,
and
like-
Guido, Tony Shalhoub, I think, is Luigi.
But
Come and get your tires. Casa delle tires.
yeah. They're
Black walls, you don't know anything about tires.
We're gonna give you some
I'll give you
white
some
walls.
white walls.
They're Italian. They don't know Lightning McQueen because he races on the American circuit.
They just know
and
Formula One.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if they're a stereotype.
They're caricatures. You're
Yeah.
right. I wouldn't call them
gentle-
stereotypes.
Everybody's
and they
heart
are
is in the right
characters.
place, too.
They are
Like-
characters.
As we're going through this list, I can picture all of them in my head and picture what they sound like, which is way more than I can say for Wheelie, where everything's just a big jumbled mess.
Yeah, like a Wheelie also has a couple lowriders. I think they're lowriders who use a Mexican voice, and they're like
Dude,
cholo
I made a list
gangbangers.
of people that we're going to have to apologize to for just even covering Wheelie.
Yeah, it advanced. We're shining
We're
a
gonna have to
spotlight.
make a YouTube video after this. Let me be frank.
You know what?
I'm going to apologize in my Kevin Spacey voice.
You knew that you wanted to hear us talk about Wheelie. You downloaded the episode. You're just
Listen.
as much to blame as I am.
None of us are innocent here.
We just need the
I'm
muck
washing
wrecker.
my hands.
Look
now.
down at your hands, you'll notice they're just as dirty as mine.
What we're doing is we're exposing Wheelie to the masses. They got away with Wheelie for too long, and now we're shining a light on it. We're heroes.
So, Lightning McQueen, he really wants to go, and Doc doesn't really want anything to do with him, but he also wants to show him a lesson, and he's like, you're free to go, but we're going to have a race off. If you beat me in a race, then you can go on your way, but if I beat you, you have to clean the road, and you have to do the road, and you have to do it right.
No oil slicking, no pushing, no backstabbing, no lollygagging. We're going to have a good, clean race.
They go race around
Willie's Butte.
the butte. Yeah, they go around the big old outcrop there.
It's like a big dirt road. It's not what Lightning McQueen's used to, his fancy paved roads and arenas.
Oh yeah, with the engineered banks and all that, where everything's designed to a precision.
The whole
for race
town
cars.
has rolled out to cheer this on. This is like the biggest show that's happened in the town in years. The Italian cars they're gonna wave the flag to start the race, and all the other cars are watching and cheering. But old Doc, he's not in too much of a hurry after they start the race. Lightning McQueen takes off like a bat out of hell. Like he disappears into the distance in like 5 seconds flat. But Doc's just kind of taking his time. The dust settles down, and he's still just crossing the starting line slowly.
Like, famously, nobody's ever seen Doc go more than 20 miles an hour. They say that about him. This guy takes his time, but he's about to
knows.
show what experience counts for in the racing world.
Oh yeah, he knows there's a blind turn around down on this track somewhere that you need to know the special technique to turn on it, and he knows Lightning McQueen doesn't know it. So him and Mater just go down.
Pretty
and
dirty trick, to be honest.
Yeah,
Well, but that's Lightning McQueen's hubris, right? He
does
could have
need
asked
to
to
get
look at the
taught
track
us.
or anything
Yeah.
or something like that.
he has Lightning McQueen read. He knows his deal. He knows a hotshot young race car is not going to be able to resist taking that turn at 1 billion miles per hour.
He used to be a bit of a hot dogger himself
As it turns out.
until he learned his lesson. So yeah, Lightning McQueen spins out, Mater tows him out, and Doc wins the race, and so Lightning McQueen's forced to stay and pave the road.
Cut to McQueen fixing the road all night.
Yeah.
You got like a nice fresh section of nice asphalt. Just a small section, not the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first honest day's work he's ever put in his life. That's kinda how it
Everybody is
feels.
really impressed because they come out in the morning and Lightning McQueen's nowhere to be found because throughout the night he lost his asphalt, and they're like, well, where's Lightning McQueen? Yo, he's over there at the racetrack practicing that turn again. And Doc goes out and watches him and gets a little bit of respect for him. So.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Sheriff, why don't you go get yourself a quart of oil that flows? Oh, really? Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks, Doc.
I am feeling a little low.
Yeah, he's like, so he's telling him how to get that turn. He's like, if you're going hard enough left, you're going to go right. You got to turn right to go left. And he's like, oh, what is it, backwards day? Should I say thank you or no thank you? Because it's opposites time. That makes no sense. Turn left to go right or right to left. You're crazy, old man.
Doc just shakes his head and drives away.
Suit yourselves.
Can't touch a young car, or can't teach a young car anything.
Yeah.
He hasn't had all of his spirit beaten out of him just quite yet.
But he does, even after bad-mouthing Doc there, he does actually try to do it, the turn right to go left thing, to like skid around this corner, and he fails at it, and he just goes flying off into a cactus.
Oh, guess what, Doc? I tried it. Going right to go left. And guess what? I turned right.
Guess what, Doc? You're full of shit. I know you're full of shit.
Go figure. Tricked you, slick. But yeah, next thing you see him, he's tied back up to Bessie again.
Yeah, and everyone else is kind of getting into it, and they're fixing up the town a little bit.
Yeah.
He's fixing the road, and Sally comes by with Red the fire truck, and he's just fucking blasting Lightning McQueen clean.
Yeah.
Red looks good. Red's a good-looking fire truck.
He's you see him going around the town, the fire truck, and he like takes care of little details. He like waters the plants and everything. And Lightning McQueen asked him for a little splash earlier, but Red was too timid, and everybody hated him because he trashed the road and the flowers and everything.
They're warming to each other. You know, Lightning McQueen's kind of just getting to know the people a little bit more. He's being a bit more open, and they're being a bit more open to him.
Yeah.
Pretty short order. He's having a little cow tipping session with Mater.
Yeah,
The cows are
Come
tractors.
out, yeah, because McQueen's staying at the Cozy Cone, which is Sally's little motel. And then Mater comes, come on, let's go sneak out and go tractor tipping. Go what? Tractor tipping, it's fun.
You can't trip a tractor.
Tractor tipper. You can't. You can't. You can't trip the tractor, Mater.
I know you're just full of it because that's nothing what I said.
Wow.
He's not having he's not having fun with it, you know.
Not at first, but once they do it.
Yeah, once they get into it, see, remember the scene in Heathers where Winona Ryder goes cow tipping with those guys? If she had just got into it, she could have enjoyed it. But Lightning McQueen does eventually get into it. He doesn't have a horn.
Yeah, what a total blark or whatever they say in that movie with their made-up slang. Why are you being such a coos?
Yeah, he's so very...
Oh, why are you being such a coos, Winona? Why don't you give this guy a fucking hand job, Winona? I'm in Heathers now.
Hey, Speed, why aren't you going down and get Sally? Just come here and I'll just sit here. You two just do whatever you want to do. I'll just sit here.
But yeah,
So, yeah.
they're doing the cow tipping.
Yeah, Mater goes up and honks his horn on the sleeping tractors. They go back and they make a big fart sound when their gas backs up into the tank, and they're... And it's hilarious. My kid dies laughing every time we watch it.
It's a funny image.
Yeah.
A
And then-
tractor as a cow is funny.
Yeah.
And the
It
story,
fits.
the story as it goes is McQueen has no horn, so he goes up and I might have another idea, Mater. And he revs his engine really loud, and all the fucking tractors tip over, and it's like, oh, we gotta watch out for Frank. And that's when Frank the Combine comes in, and he's like a bull. He chases them down, and it's
It's pretty terrifying,
Yeah.
actually.
At one point later on, we see Frank actually like suck up another car, and it spits out like green goo. So you know,
God.
the threat of Frank is very real.
So that's what cars have inside of them. Green goop.
I don't think combines are that fast in real life.
No, I can't imagine. Not
Yeah.
faster than a race car.
But
Yeah.
I've
never-
never seen one angry.
You ain't never let one run out in the open.
Combine race, go.
You ain't never tipped his tractors.
We're from Alberta, where the
Yeah.
combines run free. Look at that, son. Wild combines.
I have seen a combine before, but I've never seen it in a race.
These are the kind of sports that only get made up when there's only white people around.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially out in
Can
the
anybody
country.
dribble a basketball? No.
A basket.
Well,
What?
why don't we race our combines?
Why don't we play the washboard then? Let's bang some spoons on something.
Lightning and Mater, they're kind of bonding a little bit, and now
Yeah,
Sally and
this is like the sweetest scene.
Well,
Mater's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you're staying at the Cozy Cone. You don't want to come down to the impound lot? You're in love with Miss Sally." And this is where he's driving backwards. And he's like, "Stop that. You're freaking me out." He's like, "Oh, but I'm the best at backward driving. Check this out." And he goes crazy. He's like,
Yeah.
He does really go crazy.
yeah.
He really is the best at it.
Yeah.
He's like,
how'd
"Oh."
you do that?
I don't need to watch where I'm going. Just need to see where I've been. But I got rear view mirrors. You get some. I'll teach you sometime.
I might try that out
Yeah.
on my next race.
Yeah, wow. I might drive backwards a little bit too.
Yeah.
And so they have this really nice heart to heart where he's like, "What's it like being a big superstar?" And Lightning just starts describing, he gets toted around places and he wants to make this team so he can get in a private helicopter. Private helicopter!
Whee!
I'd love to ride around in one of those helicopters.
Yeah, he's like, when I get a Dynaco sponsorship, no more ointment, no more rusty old cars. Well, what's wrong with rusty old cars? And it's like, and then
Oh,
yeah,
nothing
he's like,
personal.
well, good night, good night, McQueen. And he's like, I knew I made a good choice. With what? My new best friend.
Yeah, touching.
Which I think is like the most quoted thing in my house. Like, my kid's always like, you're my new best friend. He always says that to everybody. And then when I make him mad, he's like, you're not my best friend anymore.
I get
Now
you're not my
Mom's-
best friend anymore all the time.
Now mom's my new best friend.
And so, yeah, Sally comes in. She has a little chat. It's like, did you really mean that? Lightning promises that he's going to take Mater for a helicopter ride. And she's like, did you mean that? You can't break Mater's heart. And people care about Mater. People care about each other in this town.
Yeah, I guess I meant it. Sure. Like, she's still feeling him out to see if he's like a douchebag race car or if he's like got a soul under there, because she's kind of got a crush on him too. Trying to figure out what kind of guy he is, but he's still not fully wholesome at this point. He's still got those dreams, those Dynaco pipe dreams floating in his head, so...
Yeah, he hasn't quite had the speed racer kind of come to Jesus moment where he realizes that Dynaco... Well, actually, Dynaco does seem kind of nice in this, but he doesn't want...
Dynaco is nice.
Yeah.
Oil companies are good, everybody.
Yeah.
If you're a car, you love oil company. Tell you what.
I love the idea that dinosaur from The Good Dinosaur, the other Pixar movie,
Oh, God.
it's...
Turned
organic
into oil.
material is being run through fucking Lightning Queen's veins. That's his fucking guts and stuff getting
High
pumped
octane.
through Lightning McQueen.
Well, if Al
sense.
Gore had his way, then maybe we would have like all the melted down toys from Toy Story powering our cars instead as like some sort of recycling.
I didn't know that was an initiative he put forth.
I'm sure it was.
Well, if only we could destroy Buzz Lightyear by 2030, we wouldn't be relying on fossil fuels anymore. So, yeah, it's morning again in Radiator Springs. You get like the army truck guy like saluting the flag and he's got taps or whatever.
It's Reverie.
Reverie, thank you.
Yeah.
And then next door is the fucking hippie one, and he's got Jimi Hendrix playing the Star Spangled Banner. He's like, turn that racket off.
Hey, man, it's a classic. It's
Yeah.
Hendrix.
It's Hendrix, so Hendrix exists in this world.
Yeah, I can
Oh.
picture a little Hendrix,
To
like
be a
tie-dye
forklift.
car with an afro and like a little bandana, little...
Yeah. What kind of car would he be?
He'd have to be a forklift. The forklifts are the musicians.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
So he makes his way into Doc's office for some reason. He's looking around and, wow,
Yeah,
he's got a
he's-
piston cup.
Yeah, first he goes to see Doc at his doctor's clinic, where he's doctor of internal combustion.
Well,
which
there's
is
some
funny.
more weird, just like kind of like
Sheriff.
car exposures here. There's a lot of like flashing of cars in this movie, and a lot of cars exposing themselves. And
And they don't like it when you
It
see
was a
their
little
undercarriage. They're like, hey,
Sheriff's on the lift or whatever. He's on the
Yeah.
he's on the lift, and Doc's looking underneath him, and he's got like a tube in Sheriff's tailpipe.
you get a nice look.
Yeah, you get a good look, city boy.
So clearly the undercarriage of the car is a private part of some kind.
it is,
That
yeah.
You only go to your mechanic, and he's allowed to touch there. And I guess
Yeah.
we also know the headlights are kind of a private part, because when those cars earlier flashed their headlights, that was enticing to Lightning McQueen.
That really got his engine running.
Oh, he's dreaming about those girls too.
He's got motor oil in his veins.
They seem underage to me.
Yeah, kind of.
Makes
Yeah.
sense for John Lasseter.
I think they
Noted
were
sex pest.
Yeah, they were young groupies.
But I don't know what an underage car is unless it's like a little car.
Well, it
A
definitely
little car.
it seems to equate to the age of the car. Like older people are old cars. Like if you were like born in the 60s or
Yeah,
young
So
in
when
the
Ryan Dunn shoved that little Hot Wheels up his ass, was that pedophilia?
that was a baby car.
Jackass 1 was heavily protested at the cars theaters.
That's just an action figure of a car. That's not a real car. That doesn't count. That's a man car action figure.
I don't know. I think that's a pretty dismissive attitude towards cars, and I think that little cars, action figure cars, are cars.
Well,
Over here in Middle America, we don't like them jackass boys.
well, I still worship the
We
mother
boycott
road.
Disney. They're groomers.
They're shoving them cars up their tushes.
It ain't right.
Car's my cousin.
So
McQueen's all blown away by how famous Doc is. He saw Doc's 3 piston cups, and he goes,
And he's like seeing like the pictures, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, he's the Hudson Hornet."
wow, this is where we get a genuine.
A genuine 100% Owen Wilson wow. Doc.
Wow, you have 3 Huds. You have 3 piston cups. He's like, well, all I see is a bunch of empty cups.
Yeah.
Oof, that line hit me hard.
He's got his piston cups just kind of strewn around. One of them's just got wrenches in it. 2 of them are in the corner covered in garbage.
Yeah, he doesn't care about them. They're not on display.
Yeah.
Nobody in the town knows about it.
He left that
mind-blowing.
life behind him. And McQueen tells the rest of the town, he's like, you guys know Doc's a famous race car? And they all laugh. He's got a piston cup. Mater goes, he did what in his cup?
He's left the world behind him, but the world left him behind him, man. They left him behind.
Yeah, he's embittered. He's got all kind of mixed emotions about racing and race cars and all that stuff.
And this is where Lightning McQueen and Sally go for a drive. She's like, come on, let's go for a drive. A drive? It's like, wow, we're going to go take a drive down the route. And it's like this scenic drive.
I think this is how cars have sex. They do like a winding scenic drive. This happens in Wheelie too, where the boy car and the girl car are like driving and they're weaving in and out of each other where they are. And it's like, I think these cars are having sex right now. I think that's
Wheelie
what
was
I
a
want.
much hornier movie.
Oh, yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Wheelie has fucking human trafficking in it. It's like The Wire.
There's a few insane things. I thought of The Wire too while I was watching it, actually.
It was too much for a fucking kids movie.
There's prison scenes and stuff in Wheelie.
Wow, they're loading them up and they're sending those cars off to meet the Greek.
Yeah.
Wow, Sabat car. It'd be Sabat car in this universe. Those longshoremen's unions,
It's me, Sabatkar.
they're on the take from the Greek mafia. God, that's the last thing we need in a fucking Cars movie. That's why it's in Wheelie.
It's the first thing we need in the Wheelie movie.
You know, if Cars 2 is a spy thriller, I'm down for a Cars movie being a crime thriller about human trafficking.
So Sally shows him the old wheel well. That was like the hotel that her parents owned. She talks about how Main Street, USA was being passed over by the interstate where nobody goes through the time. She has a big line where it's like, we're just talking about a time back when cars drove to have a great time, not to make great time.
Yeah.
I enjoy a nice little afternoon drive. Then they cut in. This didn't really connect with me, where the whole kind of thrust is times sure do change, don't they, huh?
Remember
and then
the
we get
good old
James
days?
Taylor singing us a song about how
Yeah.
Long ago, not so very long ago.
This is the Randy Newman written song, right?
Yeah, Randy Newman wrote it. It won Oscar for Best Original Song that year.
It's one of those songs. It's very on the nose.
Every time it comes on, my kids want a snack, and I'm like, I just want to watch this scene and listen to this song. I think it's very sweet.
Peanut butter sandwich time.
James,
It is quite
motor oil.
like a sappy, sentimental song that's very on the nose about living in a small town. A lot of his Pixar songs are like, "Now I'm gonna fly," or whatever. When Buzz Lightyear flies,
We got friends and your friends too. I'm kind of funny, but you're funny too.
you got a friend in me.
He just describes what's going on. It's-
yeah. And it's,
I love
works.
those Randy Newman songs in the Toy Story.
Suffice to say, it used to be a bustling town, Radiator Springs, and then they built the interstate, it bypassed Route 66, and it fell into disrepair. And
Look
you
at the
see
people driving by. They don't even know all this exists.
It's pretty pathetic. The entire Radiator Springs are out there with signs like welcoming travelers to the interstate, but nobody ever goes there ever again. And one by one, you see the shops closing down, and how a ghost town happens.
I'm a little bit, I guess I'm sympathetic to the idea of the movie. I'm a little bit over the idea of like, well, middle America is where the real heart is in America. I don't subscribe to that, but
I'll say this. One time I was driving south for work. I was going through Idaho and I needed gas, and the nearest town was just this little pull-off place. So I kind of pulled off there and stopped for lunch, and it was really nice. They had the little antique train museum, and I went to the diner. I got the lobster roll for some reason, but that was the daily special. It was,
Idaho, famous for their lobster.
yeah, exactly. It was really good, but it's just
I'm
like
sure it was fine.
nestled in a valley between the mountains. You got mountains over on this side, mountains over on the other side. It's
But
quite
you would have
scenic.
missed it if you had stayed on the interstate.
I would have missed it completely.
Yeah.
That's your Radiator Springs. Man.
That's where I was humbled in that town.
Yeah.
I tore it up. I thought it was a real big drink, Sean. They made me repave the road.
You lost your big
Somebody
city.
put a tow hook up your ass.
They drained half my blood.
Siphon his
Like,
oil.
We siphoned your blood while you were sleeping.
We need that blood
You're not
type.
going nowhere.
You don't got enough blood to give him energy to get further than a half a mile.
They put you through some kangaroo court.
Get a good look, city slicker.
You're going to be here a long time. I hope you like the lobster roll because you're going to be eating it for some time.
They made you pave the road.
It's like Old Boy. They're just feeding you a lobster roll every single day. They got you trapped for years.
They gas me with some purple knockout gas every so often. I wake up, I have a haircut. But this experience opens Lightning McQueen's headlights a little bit as to what's going on all around him. He's like, oh, wow, this place used to be... It still is beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah, Sally's like, oh, yeah, and that's how I ended up here. The hotel closed down the wheel well, and I fell in love. And she's like, oh. And McQueen's like, oh, Corvette? No.
It's a beautiful view. It's like their Grand Canyon. You can see the interstates going by off to the side. And McQueen's like, wow, all those cars. They can't even see the beauty of the Wheel Well Inn.
And so-
she drops her backstory here, too. She used to be a high-powered attorney in L.A. And then...
So he wasn't far off. That's exactly what he thought she was.
Yeah, she was a Porsche, living the dream in L.A., and she got sick of that lifestyle and just drove and drove until she broke down and ended up in Radiator Springs, where they picked her up and Flo gave her some nice gasoline and somebody fixed her tire, and she stayed ever since.
Lightning, now he just wants to help the town. And so he starts using all of their services. He goes and gets a little paint job. He gets some new tires from the tire shop. And he bonds with everybody.
Yeah, he uses everyone's individual shop.
And so he wants to put on a nice little thing. He wants to show Sally that he really has changed. So he worked with everybody. He got the neon lights working for everything. So nighttime comes and they got the flashing
Main
lights
Street's
and the music.
fixed.
Yeah, and it's bumping. Everybody goes bopping down the street.
You get that.
Looks cool.
Life could be a dream. If I could take
Nice
you
use
up
of the
in
song. It was
paradise
This is a really
Shaboom.
nice sequence.
Great song.
McQueen.
Yeah, he's got that pearlescent paint job, the white wall tires. I was like, fucking keep that look. It
It
looks
looks
cool.
good, yeah.
Yeah, he gets the cool paint job from Ramon. He gets the white wall tires from the Italian guys. A bunch of tractors come rampaging through town and kind of chase everyone around. And McQueen ends up watching at the old track where he raced Doc. Doc's got his old racing wheels on, and McQueen's like peeking from the bushes. And he's like, he wants to watch Doc make this turn. And Doc makes the turn, and then McQueen comes out and brags to him. And Doc's like, no, racing's bad. That seems to be his general stance on things.
I left racing behind. Forget what you saw. Don't tell anybody.
Wow, you're amazing.
So Doc calls the cops. Well, he doesn't call the cops. He calls the press and says that Lightning McQueen's here. So the whole town is beset upon by the paparazzi and Max there to pick Lightning McQueen up. And
Take the manufacturer, you're alive.
That's Mac. I didn't know I had it in me.
is that John Ratzenberger inside of you?
I do all the voice. Now I lost it.
Damn.
Now I'm Ray Romano.
Cliff Clavin. Now I'm Ray Romano.
Slowly merging into Pee Wee Herman.
Come on in, Lightning McQueen. I know you are, but what am I?
Jeremy Piven's on the phone. He's like, "You're the most famous car in the world since you went missing. Like, you're on every headline."
My shukana, my bubala.
I still get 10% of your checks.
He kind of gets carnapped.
Now,
and
get out of radiation stinks now. And
get your ass to Mars. You have to win the Piston Cup.
yeah, we see Chick going. He's got his own catchphrase going. He's like, oh, Kajiga, Kajiga, Kajiga.
And now he's calling himself Thunder because he Tyrioned it, where he let the barb that Lightning McQueen threw at him become his shield. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm Thunder, Kajiga, Kajiga, but it's
He owned
how
it.
Luke said it. Kajiga, Kajiga, Kajiga.
And Lightning McQueen's like, wow, I really got to beat that guy.
He's stealing my old life.
He's stealing my bit.
That's my shit.
Wow, my life is turning into a yuppie nightmare.
Yeah,
He's even fucking the twins.
but he,
The twins get a paint job and they look like chick.
Yeah, they got the green paint job. So, yeah.
he
Sally's bummed out because she was like about to make out with Lightning when all this came down, and Doc's like, I call the press. It's best for everyone, Sally.
Sally's real warmed up at this point.
Doc's
Yeah.
right. Oh yeah, her engine's fucking purring. You feel
lightning.
the heat coming off it.
Lightning McQueen is reluctant to leave. He and Sally have been bonding. They have a moment. He doesn't know how to say goodbye, and she's just like, thanks for everything. He goes on his truck.
And he goes, and so we're heading off to the final race. We learn like the entire country is shut down. This is like the most important thing that's ever happened in the world.
Makes sense. It's probably the only sport there is.
What other sports would cars do? Because like we said, like
I guess they could play soccer or football.
Oh,
I don't
actually,
know.
cars play soccer. What was that game?
Rocket League.
Rocket League is fucking dope.
It's
as
actually
hell.
very fun when cars play soccer.
Yeah.
I know from experience, having played lots of Rocket League, but I
I
think
don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, basically, you're on a team of like 3 cars, and you just kick around a gigantic soccer ball with your rocket-powered car.
In real life?
Yeah,
a video game.
it's a video game.
But I think you could play
Mitch
fun.
and I participate in the Rocket League every other weekend when we're not recording.
It's like a demolition derby with like a big inflatable ball.
We put our
Is
lives
this
at
code
risk.
for circle jerk?
Man, that
You
would
guys
be
want to
great.
come to Rocket League
Yeah.
on Saturday? Red Rocket, Red Rocket!
We're gonna play car soccer.
Blast off!
Everybody bring your bunk socks. It's Rocket League.
Speaking of sports, the voices of the announcers are Bob Costas. In this, he's Bob Cutlass. He's a Cutlass
pretty
Oldsmobile.
Ah.
And Daryl Waltrip. He's Daryl Cartrip in this.
They're like pretty much everybody
They're
in this
like
movie
the
is
ESPN
somebody.
guys. And yeah, there's tons and tons of fucking other cameos from
Yeah.
race car drivers, including Mario Andretti, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Overall, really good voice acting in this movie. I liked it. Thought everybody did a good job.
That's the thing with Pixar is generally, especially in these early days, they don't just pick the most famous people to put in the parts. It's like, oh, well, Anya Taylor-Jones is hot right now. Like, let's put her in the female lead or whatever. Even if she adds nothing to the role, like, you could...
They avoid that trendy
Yeah.
Hollywood list of actors to go through.
Yeah.
These are big names, but like
There's no Chris... what's his fucking name?
no.
You're getting Owen Wilson, a guy who's
Yeah.
a character. He brings something to it, not just a blank nobody like whatever Chris Pratt would have been in this role,
Yeah,
which I could
exactly.
absolutely see getting cast in this role. But like even the supporting guys, they're guys like Ratzenberger. You're not just getting
Yeah.
oh well, Charlie Day's hot right now. We're gonna put Charlie Day, and no disrespect to Charlie Day, but
Charlie Day could have been a good mater.
yeah.
he could have been a good mater.
He could have a future playing some kind of animated something in a Pixar.
Charlie
movie.
Day's a bad example because he's not an A-lister. he's a legitimately funny character actor.
Yeah. So now Lightning McQueen, he's at the Piston Cup. 3 cars go in, 1 car comes out.
Yeah.
He's doing okay, but he's distracted. He's thinking about Radiator Springs and Sally.
All his previous thoughts of Brecky have given way to blooming love, new friends.
He does give his same little pump up speech that he gives at the beginning of the movie where he's like, "You're fast. You're so fast."
You're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best.
And yeah, there's like you said, it's a huge show. There's jets flying around and like sky planes doing skywriting, Piston Cup, and
Yeah.
it's the biggest show on earth.
And
And
the planes are people, too.
yeah,
Planes are
Trains
people
too.
too. Let's never forget.
let us never forget.
Plane life starts at conception. This is where I'm a hardliner, single-issue voter.
But yeah, you might think like the flies in this movie would be planes or something, but no, they're cars with wings.
In Disney's Planes, which we had considered as a knockoff or a low for this movie, it's very much similar universe. If not, I think it is set in the same universe.
I assumed it was, but
I'd
Yeah,
hoped it was.
I've never seen it.
It's not
so-
Pixar, but it's Disney. Dane Cook plays Dusty, the crop duster. It's not great. We watched it once. I mean, Sebastian enjoyed it well enough, but he's like, "Can we watch Cars?" At when it was done. Anyway, so he's getting distracted, thinking about Radiator Springs, and who should show up but a new pit crew? There's Doc Hudson, and he's on the mic. He's all right. I'm your new crew chief now, and we got Guido and everybody in the pits, and everybody's here to help you, and we're supporting you, and blah, blah, blah.
At the beginning of the movie, when his agent said, "Give me a list of 20 of your friends. We'll get him tickets to the Piston Cup," he had nobody. Now, he doesn't have friends. He has a family.
Yeah, that's right. The other pit crews.
It's like the gathering of the Juggalos. Everybody's family.
yeah, a backwoods family of rejects. Man.
But they all have...
Shoot, dadgum, I go to the gathering. Whoop, whoop.
Give me some of that Fago Cola.
I didn't know you was a Juggalo Lightning. come on over here. We got some crystal meth. I got my cousin here. She takes her top off for cigarettes. Yeah, it's an intense race. Everybody's laughing at Guido in the pits.
Yeah, the American pit crew, the American forklifts are laughing at little Guido and Luigi because they're little Italian vehicles.
Like, we will show them how we change a tire.
Filthy Americans don't know how to change a tire.
You'll get your chance, Luigi. Don't worry.
We make a pit stop. And they change his tires in record time, and everybody, when people's jaw drop in this movie, their bumpers fall off.
Well, dip me in axle
unfortunate.
grease and call me slick. Everybody's just blown away.
Yeah.
Lightning fast. McQueen gets back out on the track. He beats the pace car out. I think he's in the lead for a while, but they're all jockeying for the lead back and forth. And
Yeah, Chick bumps Lightning off the track, and this is where he does the drift thing that he learned from
He's been
Doc.
practicing.
Float like a Cadillac, sting like a Beamer.
Yep, doesn't miss a beat. Right back on the track.
Yeah.
In
This-
lead.
Yeah, and that's when Chick bumps the King off the track, and he crashes bad. He, like, rolls over. He's all fucked up.
Well, he gives Lightning McQueen a little bump first, too, and Lightning McQueen also does the Mater move. He does the Doc move, then he does the Mater move, where he has to
Drives
drive
backwards a little
backwards
bit.
for a while.
He's
and,
learned some tricks while he was in the country.
Yeah, and then...
Looks like Lightning's learned a few tricks while he was out there in Radiator Springs with those backcountry hicks.
Mater's like, I taught him that. And yeah, then the King gets bumped off the track. It's a huge wreck. Gets smashed up.
God, this movie's so epic. There's
like-
so much in it.
Yeah.
It is dense.
And Lightning's, he's barreling down. He's going to win. And then he remembers his talk with Doc because Doc, he never retired from racing. He got in a crash. Everybody forgot about him and the world moved on. So Lightning stops just shy of crossing the finish line. He stops, he goes back, and he gets the King because he wants his last race to end with dignity.
Yeah, shows amazing sportsmanship, pushes him past the finish line while Chick just like blew past.
So he doesn't win the race, but what's
Not
more
a dry
important-
eye in the house.
Yeah,
No.
he learned
This
that
is
there
where
are things
my
that are
wife
more
cries.
important than winning.
Yeah, my wife cries every time we watch this at this part.
Nobody really cares that Chick won.
That's not the
You know?
story.
It's the King's last big race, and Lightning McQueen showed great sportsmanship, so they're the real heroes of the race. He's won the public's affection. He has friends now. He's learned to be a humble car.
He did so good that Dynaco offers him the blue car.
Yeah, the head of Dynaco is like this big Texas car of some kind. It's got the Longhorn, the Texas Longhorn steer horns on the front of it.
And he's like, there's a lot more to racing than just winning. If there's anything I can do. He's like, well, there is one thing. And we get Mater in the chopper. Go, yee-hoo! I'm happier than a tornado in a trailer park.
Yeah, that line made me
Dadgum.
think. I was like, are tornadoes sentient in this movie too?
Where does it end?
But yeah, McQueen fulfilled his promise because that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like Sally wasn't sure of him earlier if he was gonna fulfill his Maynard gets a helicopter ride.
It's everybody lives happily ever after, and credits roll. We get some nice little. I love this about Pixar
Postscript stuff.
movies. Lots of little things they're adding in. They do a couple too many victory laps where they play some kind of maudlin songs and kind of show us stills from all the good times we just had.
Yeah, it looks like an in memoriam reel, and it's like slow motion footage of like McQueen like and laughing and then going staring at the camera. It's like
Yeah,
R.I.P. Lightning McQueen.
exactly.
What happened here?
must have been some kind of alternate ending to this that they had to cut where Lightning McQueen just died in a fiery wreck or something.
And then we get a nice little post-credit final. Like after everything's gone, we get a little stinger scene where the two tourist cars that we met earlier apparently they're left to just wander and die in the desert or something like that. They're just like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
fitting
we're
end.
setting up the sequel, and that
The hills have
their
cars.
their super villain arc. No,
They come back.
They left us to die in the desert.
it's a pretty stupid joke to end on, but
And
there it is.
we have determined that cars can die, so they're probably going to die out there.
We did some independent research here in the High and Low studios. Lots of experiments, lots of electric coils. But
Those buzzards will pick the panels right off your chassis.
Yeah, the car flies are going to be eating your car body, laying eggs in your skin, your car skin.
David Cronenberg's cars.
Car insects don't have pollux.
so yeah, that was Disney's Cars.
The longest movie ever made.
It's so long. It's It's beloved, I guess. I don't know. It was never a huge hit in my house, but it's a classic. People love it. People still talk about it. It gets lots of play even till today. This movie came out 18 years ago. Like, it came out in 2006.
I
Like,
can't
it's
believe
hung
it's been
around
that
for a
long.
while.
Yeah.
Still a Sunday morning classic at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can put that on, and that's 2 easy hours where we just hang out and enjoy a movie.
It was a pretty, I didn't feel the runtime much. It was a pretty easy watch for me. I haven't watched it in a long time, since, like, back when it came out-ish. But,
Yeah, Mitchell was there for the midnight screening.
yeah, Pixar super fan.
Got his car's popcorn cup where the tailpipe had a tailpipe you could fuck.
Yeah. The car had a smart comment, like, get a good look down there.
That wasn't a real promo. You're just fucking some car in the parking lot.
I mean, there must be...
Get off that, you freak! Mitchell was like, he was like Titane, but he was really ahead of his time.
I assume there's a new car movie coming out, because I'm still doing that all the time.
Okay, that's enough for cars. Fuck. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about Wheelie.
Chicka, 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 wheelie.
Chicka chicka.
Ka-chigga, ka-jigga.
Wheelie, wheelie. Ka-chow! Bow.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Okay, guys, I'm really sorry I made you watch this really bad movie. We're here talking about Wheelie from 2018, Fast and Hilarious. Directed by Yusri Abdul Halim. Produced by, I think, his brother, probably, Norman Abdul Halim. I might be butchering their names, which is why in the movie it's credited as directed by a Carl Mendez, which I believe might be a pseudonym.
Okay.
Probably. And I gotta say, that title is big-time false advertising. This movie is neither fast nor hilarious.
I wonder if
I
that's...
can think of at least one thing wrong with that title.
That's their take on, like, Fast and Furious. They're like, we're fast and hilarious.
So,
The Fast and Furious movies are a lot more hilarious than this.
Ironically.
Fast and Furious is still a thing. It's ongoing, as is Cars. As we've talked about, there's this big
Yes,
expanded
thank you.
universe. But they're doing a movie where they're pulling on Fast and Furious's title, and they're really biting on Cars style. 12 years after Cars came out, 17 years after Fast and Furious came out, like,
And it looks way worse than Cars.
way worse. But like, they totally missed the boat on just trying to catch on to whatever's relevant at the time. Like, I don't know why they decided this was the right time to do it, but I guess the guy had a dream.
Well, they're making money. People love cars.
Yep. They probably...
Kids love cars.
Mendez had a dream.
They slapped
Kids
it together.
fuck cars. Cars fuck cars.
Everybody's fucking
So that's one of the big differences between Wheelie and Cars is everybody's fucking all the time in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the
That's
Paul
the
Schrader.
pitch meeting that Carl Mendez, in quotations, got thrown out of at every fucking major studio. These cars fuck.
Well, if I had a major studio...
Think about it. All the kids who saw Cars when they came out, they've grown up now. They want to see those cars fucking.
Yeah. They've grown up. They were attracted to Sally Carrera, and now they want to see cars fuck. Yeah. It's possible that Carl Mendez is like an Alan Smithy name. Like
I'm pretty sure that's not his real name.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a Malaysian production. I'm hesitant to punch down on it too much because...
Yeah, and it's also a bit of I think, intended for a younger crowd than maybe Cars even.
Just like the type of crowd who just wants to see like a color on a screen.
Yeah, primary colors moving around on screen.
I don't know, man. There's a little more going on with it than that. I mean, there are some voice actors in it, and they aren't just nobodies, and
There's a couple people.
They're people who are like notable cartoon voice actors.
People who
in
were
the
formative
roles.
to our childhoods to some degree. The police car was voiced by the lady who did Rita Repulsa in
Yeah.
Power Rangers.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Barbara Goodson.
Yeah, I recognized her voice right away. I was like, fucking Rita Repulsa?
I was looking up OG Banks. He does the voice of Wheelie, the main character in this, and he's got like his little blurb on the side on Letterboxd, and it's like, who owns that incredible voice behind some of the world's greatest characters? It's likely it's OG Banks, the third, as the verbal embodiment of many beloved heroes. And then you look at his his films, and it's like a lot of Bratz movies, and
I love it. I love those things, those write-ups. Like, I'm pretty sure Ogie Banks wrote that himself.
yeah, or his staff, like his agent or somebody. But it wouldn't surprise me if he did it his very self.
Like, I remember when Paul F. Tompkins was looking up, I think it was on Comedy Bang Bang a long time ago, and he like looked up Jeffrey Wright, his filmography, and it like had some similarly
Yeah.
positive write-up where it's like
Academy
one
Award
of
nominee.
one of the world's most underrated and talented, gifted actors. He absolutely lights up the stage and screen in anything he appears in, and it's like, why don't you tone it down a little bit? Did you write this, Jeffrey Wright? And like Jeffrey Wright actually like found this years later, and he's like, hey, fuck you, Paul F. Tompkins. I didn't write that.
Don't get me wrong. I'm happy whenever Jeffrey Wright shows up, but tone it down a little.
I also like how sometimes if you're looking at like a younger actor, their little blurb will be something like, she enjoys playing tennis, and or like getting really into the backstory of like, she volunteered at a homeless shelter twice, and it's like reading a resume or something for someone's first job. You're like, okay, yeah, an agent definitely put this together.
An agent or a fan or somebody, or in the case of some of these people, it might be them themselves.
Yeah,
Who
or
knows?
their very selves.
I don't.
Jeffrey Wright wrote that himself. Fuck
Yes. But yeah, I don't want to punch down on the voice actors much either, because I think for the most part they're just doing a gig. I don't think the writing's doing them any favors.
No.
Some of them I think just should have said no, like, or decided to make some changes. There's some really offensive voices and stereotypes throughout this movie.
That's the whole movie. There are no jokes. There are just racial stereotypes.
Yeah.
So-
And guess which ones are the bad guys? The black and Latino ones.
So just
Except for the hero.
Well,
He's black.
Wheelie is
Yeah.
black, and his mother is black.
She
I
sure
think.
is.
They're very much black coded. I mean, they're not black cars.
Well, but I'm just going to read the one paragraph Wikipedia synopsis here, and it kind of gives you an idea of what this is about. So after a wheelie bad crash, Wheelie is demoted from a 3-time rookie race car to a downtown cabbie with a mountain of debt and a bruised ego. The cause of the accident is none other than Putt Putt, his philosophical / feng shui practitioner fan, turned to best friend. Everything was fine until Wheelie fell head over wheels for Bella, a supermodel from the upper echelons of society. To make things worse, she's got a boyfriend. Luckily for Wheelie, Bella finds his street-smart, ghetto-like, funny guy character appealing.
Ghetto-like.
Ghetto-like.
Good God.
Just before he
My
gets the
God.
chance to get to know her better, her stuck-up boyfriend, Ben, gets in the way. And that's not all.
Ben.
Wheelie's faced with an even bigger problem when his dream girl gets carnapped by a global syndicate masterminded by a monstrous 18-wheeler truck, Kaiser.
Yeah, that's actually really.
That's the movie, and then
That's so much.
it's so much. I appreciate a brief plot synopsis on Wikipedia sometimes, especially if you go to something that fans are like.
Oh, that's the plot?
That's the plot. That's the whole plot of the movie.
Oh, okay.
I love that putt-putt description.
Yeah,
Zen practitioner.
/ feng shui.
They put that in there. That's more words than they put to most things in the movie, most plot beats in the movie. And that's
Yeah.
something that's glossed over in the movie in like half an instant.
Things just kind of happen, and you're not entirely sure why.
It's important to know that Putt Putt is a racial stereotype on par with like Mickey Rooney and Breakfast
Yeah.
at Tiffany's.
Do you know, putt-putt is such a racist stereotype that it took me about a half an hour to realize that it was supposed to be Asian. Because my mind just couldn't process that any modern movie would have a character like that in it. Like, he's like the Allied propaganda during World War II for like Emperor Hirohito. He's got the buck teeth, and he speaks with that voice, like...
Yeah, it's the wildest thing this size of a Dr. Seuss political cartoon.
Yeah.
I thought he was just a screw-up at first, and then like half an hour into the movie, I was like, oh no, they're trying to do like a racial stereotype with him. Oh, God.
Yeah, no, it's
Flapping
bad.
Dickie didn't tip you up.
He's the most blatantly racist voice in this movie, but there is a lot of questionable voices, all the black voices.
Well, yes. There's, as far as stereotype voices, there's Italians, there's French, there's Asian, as we talked about, there's East Indian, there's German, there's Latinos,
Caribbean.
Yeah.
Caribbean, yeah.
Yeah, the Jamaican one is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even just
Yaman.
and like as we talked about, Wheelie is kind of like coded as what did Wikipedia call it? Ghetto friendly.
That's
Ghetto-like. Like, Wheelie's coded as ghetto-like.
That's surprising to me because there's no ghetto in this movie. Wheelie doesn't live in a ghetto. Like, he's got a black voice, but
Little ghetto boys.
So, anyways, this is like, this whole episode's going to be this whole portion's going to be like a big bag of worms.
Yeah.
We're going to try to tiptoe around as delicately as possible.
and I think with Wheelie, they're trying to do a Chris Rock voice. That was my impression at first. I was like, oh, okay. They're just trying to like do a Chris Rock and knock off. But I don't know about that. Now, watching the full movie and seeing all like I was trying to figure out how the races apply to different cars. It also took me a while to realize that I think like the Latin guys are lowriders. They're like kind of supposed to be cholo gangbangers, I think. They're like
Yeah. I don't think there were lowriders in this one, though.
they might not have been. One of them might have been.
That's just
they're
your
just-
imprint on the movie, man.
They're just bad hombres, man.
yeah. maybe that's it. Yeah.
Good grief. So yeah, needless to say, like, any sort of racial sensitivities aren't really handled particularly well throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
It's just, everything's just kind of used as a joke, and like the lowest common denominator stereotype or whatever is kind of what you get every step of the way.
It's probably too stupid to like get seriously offended about it also.
Yeah.
It's
I
like-
mean, and luckily for the listeners at home, you can't see me pulling my eyes to
Luke's,
make them look more Asian.
Luke's
when I'm
doing a
this.
Scooter impression. And it's,
I had to take a whiff of this movie too before I even like committed to us doing it. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Should we do Disney's Planes?
Yeah,
I'll watch it and like jump on this fucking grenade first, and we'll find out.
Unluckily for us, he didn't put the cork back in that bottle, so we had to watch this movie.
it's a little subversive to do wheelie. It's a little underground. It's a bit of an alternative lifestyle thing. So if you like those kind of things, you're gonna like wheelie.
Cutting edge.
Yeah.
Just like see us at the end of the bar looking at you and your wife. What are they up to?
We're like
they want to watch Wheelie with us, babe. What do you think?
We're like
Yeah.
Al Pacino and Cruising, but for podcasts. We're getting into some subversive shit.
Well, if you wear the red handkerchief, that means you like to watch Wheelie. If you wear the yellow handkerchief in the back pocket, that means you like to fuck cars in the tailpipe. Okay, so the movie starts with a bunch of cars, and they're racing in the desert. Now, the cars in this movie, their eyes are their headlights.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the biggest aesthetic difference. In the Cars movie, Pixar's Cars, the eyes are in the windshield, which
Yeah.
I think makes cars look cuter. In this,
sure.
they look a little weird, a little monstrous. Sometimes you look at cars, and they do kind of look like the headlights are the eyes. I get
Yeah.
it,
But in Cars, the headlights are the boobies.
Well,
'Cause that's what they flashed at.
yeah,
Lightning
they're their
McQueen.
nipples.
Mendez argued that this isn't a ripoff of Cars, and that it has wholly original characters and plot points. And I think Art saying moving the headlights around is really helping his case.
I think legally
Moving
he's
the eyes.
probably he covered his ground, his bases with that. I think legally this is distinct from Cars,
Standing on solid ground.
as close
a
as it
gun
can
to
get
his
to
head.
It's
It's
without
not-
getting sued.
It's
but-
not as close as some of the rip we've done. It's no Robo War.
No, it certainly isn't. Like, there's no shot-for-shot rip-offs of anything.
Yeah,
And you know
also
what?
it sucks. Robo War was awesome.
Yeah. There's no Omega 1 in Wheelie.
I think that Wheelie did a little bit better of a job developing the world that the cars live in, just a little bit. Like, where in Cars, like when they go up they don't have stairs, they have ramps. Wheelie has all sorts of like little gadgets around showing how cars cope in their day-to-day life.
Yeah, I guess that's true when you put it like that. But there is like in this opening race scene, like right at the beginning of Cars, you get Lightning McQueen having a daydream where he turns into the jet and the rocket and everything and shoots rockets. And I was thinking after watching Wheelie, then watching Cars, like this little daydream that Lightning McQueen had has more action and probably cost like twice as much as Wheelie's entire budget. But for part of this big race in Wheelie at the start, they just disappear into a tunnel for a certain point and the action stops following them. And then there's just like two helicopters sitting outside the tunnel waiting for the race. Like,
These
who's going to come out of the
helicopters
tunnel?
suck. One's the big go-getter. He's really excited. He's really talking about things. And then you have like the kind of stodgy, well, according to my pre-season research, I said that this would be a close race. Like,
Yeah, and they're
guy-
bickering with each other. It's supposed to be jokey, but it kind of lands flat.
their banter is, nothing going, nothing doing with it.
Yeah. So it's a close race between Wheelie O'Wheels. Wheelie O'Wheels.
He's
not Irish. He's, well, maybe.
Could be.
He's definitely of the black American variety. And Joe Flo, who's his competition there. And
He's the orange car.
this is where we get our first glimpse of Putt Putt the scooter, who's appears next to them in the race, but then it kind of pans out, a bit of a clever visual gag. He's on a treadmill that runs parallel to the TV, and he's watching it on the TV, so it looks like he's racing alongside with them.
Yeah,
He
he's
loves
blocking
Wheelie.
the TV screen.
Wheelie's a 3-time rookie. I don't even know what that means, but he has a following already.
Is that what they said?
That's what the
Three-time
Wikipedia
rookie.
said.
Time rookie.
So
And-
they must have got it from somewhere.
And yeah, like Wheelie doesn't have much of an arc here. He is a bit hubristic, but
He's just happy to be there, like, the entire time. I don't really know what his deal is, but
and it just kind of works out for him. Other than this huge tragic disaster, like basically Wheelie gets ahead of the pack. He's so far ahead in the race that he has time. He sees this billboard with the sexy car on it. It's for motor oil or something, and he stops and he has time to place an order for motor oil. And he's like, "Have it at the end of the race when I get there." And Putt Putt works for this delivery service where they get these calls in.
so why is Putt Putt not Italian? He's like a little Vespa.
He's
It
a
seems like
Vespa,
it's the most natural layup in the world. I don't know why they didn't make. If they're making all these other choices about putting these different people in different stereotype roles, I don't know why he isn't Italian.
And they're all real cars for the most part.
Yeah.
Wheelie O'Wheels is a Mitsubishi Evo.
And he works for a delivery shop.
Well,
Lots of people work for
You
delivery,
had to
but
have a bucktooth funny sidekick because Cars had a bucktooth funny sidekick.
Yeah,
That's true. They took
And
all
it
the
couldn't
right
be a
lessons from
redneck.
Cars.
It had to be an
For legal
Eastern
reasons. It couldn't be a
redneck,
redneck. Yeah.
it couldn't be a Malaysian because it's a Malaysian movie. They're not gonna put themselves. I thought he might be like supposed to be like a tuk-tuk or something, but I guess not. For a
he's
while,
a
I thought
Vespa
that's what his
scooter.
mind
100%
was.
a Vespa. So yeah, he's off on the run. He needs to get Wheelie his oil in order for him to win the race. And in his eagerness, he takes this like sewer and comes out of underground, and it's enough to derail Wheelie to just send him off flying, and he loses the race.
Yeah, Putt Putt fucks the whole thing up
The oil
and
slicks.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
spills oil on the ground. Wheelie goes off the road, goes into water.
He flipped off the road and then like landed on train tracks. And then he
Oh,
was
yeah.
going like head on with a train and he couldn't get off the tracks. And the train's like, "Oh, get out of the fucking way."
It's like the train from Stand By Me. He's like, I'm going to get me one of these cars.
Finally, you're on my turf now. Takes him out. Yeah. Smashes into him full speed.
So
No,
Yeah, he just like gets bonked down into the water after that. He should have exploded into fucking tiny
a
pile
better
of
movie would
bullets.
have had Wheelie just blow up within 2 minutes and then just ended. So yeah, Wheelie's out of commission, and then a year later, he's a downtrodden. He's like a taxi driver. He's not living the high life anymore.
and this is kind of interesting. I was wondering if it's because, like, he's a yellow car. Is that why he chose to become a taxi? Because, like, in Cars, we see the cars can switch their colors. But in this, it seems like Wheelie, maybe he was limited to the jobs he could take
No,
just because
it-
he's a yellow car.
His belly's yellow.
I think
He's a
is red.
yeller-bellered, sap-sucking.
the color doesn't have anything to do with it. In this universe, being a taxi driver is like rock bottom.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having to drive somebody around in
Who are they driving around? There's no fucking people. The only time we see anybody be a passenger is later on in the movie. He actually picks up Putt Putt and
Yeah.
gives him a ride
Who
in
is-
the back seat.
Does he
That's
drive
weird.
anybody around?
There's a whole taxi union, and it's not clear who the fuck they're.
He keeps getting fares.
Taxiing.
Like, he'll get a call for, like, oh, I gotta go get this big fare, and then something will happen where you don't see who the fare would have been. Like, it's a trick, and a different car showed up, or he got sidetracked and didn't make it to the fare in time. So, yeah, it never actually shows who he would have picked up.
We'll have to research this and dig in a bit more and come back with our follow-up episode.
Maybe it's just Vespas. I guess Vespas are like the forklifts of this world.
I don't think we even see a forklift in this world, but
No,
cars are a
there's
little
no-
more tactile in this world. They can do a little bit more.
Yeah, the world's a little more like you
cars-
said. There's weird ramps they can go up, and
The
things
cars
that go
have
in.
phones in this world, like iPhones and shit, and they can somehow just grab them and talk into them and dial numbers.
That's really weird. You would think they would just use their in-car phone, but I don't want to get too far into that. Go
No,
down
it's
that
a
rabbit
plot
hole.
point that people lose their phones,
Yeah.
just like in our world.
But yeah, so his life sucks now. He's getting dunked on by all the cool cars. He runs into some cars. They think he's trying to race them at some point, and they just kind of make him eat a bunch of gravel and eat their dust. And
Yeah,
the guy's a fucking loser now.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
he's
humiliating.
wearing he's got like a shade over his windshield that kind of looks like a ball cap. Makes it look like he's just like a blue collar schlub now.
I'm just a cabbie now.
Yeah, he's not a cool street racer.
He's turning into Ernest Borgnine.
And then we get Putt Putt coming back in. Putt Putt, even though he fucked up Wheelie's life, he's all over him and he wants to make it right. He's obsessed with
He's
Wheelie.
Urkeling his way into Wheelie's life. He's just going to wear him down until they're friends, I
Get him.
guess.
What's up?
He says, "What's up, homie?"
Yeah. And he's like, Putt Putt, look out for Mr. Wheelie. And Wheelie's like, I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I don't need your help. Oh, you not cool, Mr. Wheelie.
It's so bad. Just like,
You and Putt Putt best friends. Yeah.
Putt Putt always speaks in the third person like that. Oh, Putt Putt loves Wheelie.
Yeah, that's part of what I think. That's why I didn't realize he was Asian at first. I think I just thought he was like supposed to be like the mentally handicapped sidekick or something.
no. His grasp on the English language is just as like ill-conceived as Ko and Rambo 2. It's just like, that's not how anybody talks. It's just like put together. I don't know who wrote this. Did somebody actually put like 1,000 monkeys in a room with a bunch of typewriters and get them to write a script? It
That's
didn't come
not
out
in
as
the
Shakespeare.
50 monkeys. They also left all the reviews on Letterboxd for it.
So Wheelie's a shitty wreck now. He can't race with the other racers. He fucked up his axle, and they can't get the part to fix him.
Yeah, they don't make that part no more.
Yeah, so
he's fucked forever.
fucked. So this is now we cut to the sexy model car that we saw on the billboard earlier.
She's an actress car.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought she was an Audi. It looks like, according to Wikipedia, she's a Buick XP 2000. Oh no, that's Ben is the Buick. No, she's an Alfa Romeo.
Okay, yeah. Because when they're trying to car nap her later, they keep saying, like, we don't want any more American muscle cars. We want the Italian. Bring me the Italian.
Yeah, it's like Taken. It's fucked up. It really has no place. I'm so glad I didn't show this to my kid. I was gonna, and then I just like decided.
Who wants to answer all those questions?
It's an important lesson for the boy to learn.
He doesn't need to see Sound of Freedom just yet.
You tell him this is why you don't talk to strangers. Because you could get car napped and taken to Eastern Europe, and God only knows what'll happen.
This is actually a really important movie. My aunt told me. She told me she bought 12 tickets and she was trying to give them to my whole family to go out and see Wheelie, so we learn about car napping.
I don't know why nobody's covering Wheelie. That seems pretty suspicious, don't you think? Nobody's talking about Wheelie in the press, even though it's a very important, very true message.
Government's trying to hide it.
The liberal Hollywood elite doesn't want you to know about Wheelie.
Yeah.
It's exposing the true facts about car napping.
So go out there and give them your money.
And they're not looking just for your crummy inner city cars anymore. They're looking for Italians and white import cars.
Buicks.
Cars that might look like you and me. We're not safe no more.
This is Biden's America, okay?
I think it's
Biden's Americar.
Well, I don't see how we can say we want Paul Schrader's version of Cars and then criticize Wheelie for showing us human trafficking. That's what we've been.
You got me there.
We were champing at the bit for this.
All we needed is George C. Scott watching like some fucking car
Crying.
snuff porno film, being like, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" Some cars getting stuffed in all of its.
That's
fucking
my
windows.
car.
Where are we here?
I don't know. Something happens where this cop is harassing Wheelie.
Sergeant Street.
yeah.
She gets introduced.
Rita
This is
Repulsa's giving him grief.
yeah. She's like a thorn in his side throughout the whole movie. She gets later she gets a scene that reveals that she's like on her last week till retirement. So I thought she was gonna blow up or something at some point, but
It's like a real Freeman. She's just dying to crack the human trafficking case before she retires.
Yeah, she's definitely a keener.
Wheelie gets arrested. And she's like, he won't be able to sneeze in a no sneeze zone without some red flags going off.
Yeah, he saved.
That's a joke.
He saved Bella. That's the that's the model car. He saved Bella because she's like doing a photo shoot, and he leaped in and like protected her from this light fixture that was going to fall on her, and he kissed her grill in the process of it. The grill is the teeth in the mouth of cars, as we all
know.
fucking
Finally,
Yeah.
finally.
if the bumper is the jaw, then the grill is the teeth in the mouth.
know. Yeah. and he's like, I know who you are, baby. And he's all like trying to put his smooth stuff on it, and then he leaves. And that's when she sees the guys from the photo shoot. They're all taking off, and that's when Sergeant Street, the Rita Repulsa cop, catches him.
Yeah, she thinks that he's doing some street race and they're going so fast, and he's the slowest one, so she pulls him over and wheelies on ice.
She's the only car he could actually catch, the one not really involved in the race.
This is where we get a flashback, Putt-Putt, when Wheelie got fucking wrecked because of Putt-Putt getting hit by the train, and he takes him to this spooky Frankenstein-looking bus.
Mr. Frank.
He's like a doctor, but also he's Frankenstein's monster, which kind of messes up the whole lore of the idea, because the monster isn't the doctor.
Yeah, he's like the doctor in he's a amalgamated character where he must have worked on himself and replaced his own parts and created himself.
He's kind of like Willem Dafoe and Poor Things. I don't think they went into that, but I think he did some of the work on himself.
Yeah, he is. That's a good analog. Yeah,
So he was ahead of its time.
He's burping bubbles and all kinds
Yorgos
of
Lanthimos is like, I can't do a Greek accent.
Me neither, but here we go.
Wheelie was. Hey, while we're doing racial stereotypes. Yorgos Lanthimos is like, Wheelie was such a big inspiration for me.
What if Wheelie was reborn and discovered his sexuality as a matured car for the first time?
Starts off as a baby car, which everyone has been waiting to see for so long, to see a baby car.
Wheelie, will you stop handling yourself with that potato in your muffler? So
Can't stop. Feels so good.
So Wheelie's in jail for like the night, and he realizes that he has Bella's phone. So he wants to kind of be the hero and go and give her phone back to her. So he goes to the big party, the soiree that Bella's ritzy fiance Ben is having. And we get this real heart-to-heart with Ben and his dad, who basically just wants some grandbaby cars. And he's like, you need to find a suitor. You need to make me some baby cars, or else you're out of the will.
I need a suitable car heir.
Yeah.
You thought you would be the heir? You're weak. Your stock is weak.
Now get the fuck out of my office.
It's time to settle down and get married.
This movie's fucking not for kids.
This movie's not for anybody.
So they try to get in, and they're like, bumped out by the Hummer or fucking guards or whatever.
Excuse me, this is a black tire affair. Yeah. You can't come in here with your white wall tires.
Yeah, they say they
Putt
can't
Putt
get
has
in.
an idea.
Oh, of
Try
course he does.
Putt-Putt's way? Why don't we try Putt-Putt's way? And so he paints him black and white like a waiter.
Pretty ingenious.
Wheelie's like, I look so good. I'm gonna go in now into the place and be the star of the show. And Putt-Putt's like, no, you're a waiter, Wheelie. He's like, oh man.
So I wasn't clear on this at first. I thought maybe Ben was tied in with this trafficking ring.
I thought so too, but I don't
But then
think
it
so
seemed
at all.
like that dropped at the end. I guess not.
It seemed
Separate
like he
incidents,
was,
I
but like
think.
the trafficking ring is taking place on a completely different soundstage. Like
Different
everything else is
fucking
just like
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we cut to the Latino lowrider guys, and they're working in the chop shop, of course. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're Latinos. They're evil, bad people.
They're
apparently.
crooks. They're up to no good.
But of course, like, the big bad is a guy doing a German accent, so that's good.
Kaiser.
Germans are
Yeah.
bad.
Yes.
And his name is Kaiser.
Yeah, it's good that they show the German is in charge of the whole operation at the top.
If this was an American, he'd be Russian.
He's a Volvo FH, which
Oh.
maybe he's supposed to be Swedish. Isn't that a Swedish
Volvo's
automobile?
Swedish, but Kaiser's a German word, so far as I
Yeah.
understand.
Swedish, German, it's close enough to a Malaysian. I get it.
He's from that part of the world.
Yeah.
So he has a trafficking ring, and we see like them like executing people. And then they're on this big boat. It's like a big rusty barge in a bay at the docks.
They're gonna export. They're gonna send all these cars overseas. They're breaking them down for parts. They're just they're bad.
Yeah,
bad
and the
hombres.
boat itself is a guy with a Jamaican accent, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, let's get those cars." And it's
Like, okay.
it's wild, dude.
He seems like a bad boat, but he redeems himself at some point. But
Kinda. He just tries to save his own ass when the fucking jig is up.
yeah, when the boats hit the Titanic and everything's sinking, he jumps ship
That's
metaphorically.
little boat saying.
Yeah.
Don't want to get a boat with those guys, right?
So there's like a brief introduction to this car ring, and then Bella's getting kidnapped by them. While this is happening, Wheelie's doing a little bit of solo driving thinking. He's just going for a long thought. And while this is happening, Bella's going for a drive, and Ben's kind of going and like harassing her. Like, or
It
Bella's
wasn't Ben. It was some other fucking creep.
Brad.
right.
I
Was it
think
Brad?
this car was
Brad?
named Brad.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's got the hots for Bella, and he's fucking bugging her.
Yeah, and
Another douchebag muscle car type guy.
yeah, but this guy's masculinity is so fragile. She makes like the slightest like homosexual suggestion, and he just falls apart.
You fucking dyke. You fucking whore, bitch.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that, but he may as well.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's-
much, like she insinuates it, like, "Oh, Brad, maybe you should go look. Maybe you should go talk to Ben. Maybe he'd be into that." And it's like, "What? No fucking way! I would never do that."
I'm into you, Bella, baby.
Ben, I'd never be into something like
I
that.
think he's like, I'm not into that kind of thing. I'm into you.
It's like I have kids here. Like, what's going on?
So they try to get a bug under Bella, but they end up capturing that fucking creep. And it's basically a bug they plant under the car that allows them to take control of them. So he's going, and she's kind of not looking. She's like sloughing him off, and he just goes full speed backward, and he's backing up, screaming, and he gets put on that boat. And then when they get him on the boat, they're like, "This isn't the fucking car we wanted. This isn't the one." And
They dismember him.
yeah, they fucking like tear him apart and drop him into the ocean, and the boat's like, ha 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 ha, nice.
Hey, Mon, you drowning, Mon?
Yeah, he's like, I don't like heights. And the ship's like, I don't like lows, man. You just need to relax.
Maybe the boat isn't such a good guy after all.
Yeah, no, the boat's a bad guy. This movie's bad.
I hated that.
Kaiser's on the boat. He's really pissed that they brought him the wrong car.
All he does is just like toot around and yell at people. Like he never does anything menacing at all.
Oh, well, he's the bigger vehicle. He can just. This is a world where if you're a bigger vehicle, you can just run over other vehicles.
Finally, the bigger vehicle is just eating the smaller vehicles and destroying them.
We don't see that in Cars, but I assume that's how their society is, like the hierarchy too. Like probably like the president's a big truck, and if anyone argues with him, he can just run them over.
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, but only not quite so polite and friendly. You would have to be pretty ruthless in the Cars world to maintain power.
Oh, the wheelie world.
Oh, and the wheelie world too. Don't even get me started. You can end up in jail in the wheelie world.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was trying to think of more President car puns.
Lincoln, President Lincoln.
Oh, they do have a Lincoln Continental joke in Cars. She's talking about her hotel as a continental breakfast. She calls it the Lincoln Continental Breakfast. That's pretty clever.
So is there Abraham Lincoln in the Cars world? Like, did they have car slavery? And
Oh, man. Yeah.
in the
Make-
Cars world, I'm thinking probably not, but in Wheelie, there's definitely
Yeah.
car slavery.
Ongoing, like today.
Yeah,
it's happening
exactly.
like 2 blocks over from wherever this movie's happening.
Yeah. Probably.
That's the next pier. That's what that boat's up to.
Well, definitely.
Probably car slaves. What animated this movie?
Like, yeah. And I'm sure when Wheelie goes to jail, he probably has to make a bunch of license plates and stuff like that. That's kind of the modern day slavery, but they don't show that either.
My God, a car making license
yeah.
plates for other
It's
cars.
quite ironic.
So,
Dark.
Yeah.
David Simon's fucking Wheelie.
Well, Wheelie's he goes to the movie theater at some point. He's been humbled at this point. He's a taxi car, but somebody does recognize him here and gets his autograph from the crowd, and he's like super grateful that somebody recognizes them. Settles
And of course, Bella's there. She just like wanted to get away from that party and go and relax and watch a drive-in movie.
in. There's a few happy coincidences in this movie. It just turns out Bella's there, and he pulls up right next to her. They didn't plan it or anything, but hey, my love interest, she's right next to me.
The guy's got no game.
No.
He's just so befuddled. He
He's
doesn't.
trying in his ghetto-like manner,
Yes.
right?
He's got her phone.
God, kill me
But-
for saying that. Cancel me.
Yeah. So, they
That's
kind
the
of bond
idea.
a little bit. Wheelie takes Bella back home, and she meets Wheelie's mom.
Wait, we didn't talk about Car Wars.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
So-
The movie they're watching is Car Wars, which is a movie that I think when I was watching Wheelie, I was like, I would much rather be watching this movie right now.
But there's nothing there. It's literally just the scene, which
Great scene.
It's actually the scene from Empire Strikes Back, not Car Wars. It's just the scene where it's like, Luke, I am your father. No, it's not true, or whatever. And it's just cars doing it. I'm like, where's the fucking joke?
Yeah.
Like, make a fucking joke here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't go looking for jokes.
No.
Not in Wheelie.
If you're looking for jokes in Wheelie fast and hilarious, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. There's no time for jokes, man. Too fast.
You're already gonna have a bad time.
The joke is they're cars wielding lightsabers. And they're saying, Luke, I'm your father.
So yeah, after they take in Car Wars, a very inspired parody of Star Wars, I'm sure.
It's the laziest fucking joke. It's so lazy.
That's the joke.
Imagine Star Wars, but with cars. That's kind of like the premise for all these movies, though. Imagine if cars talked. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, and there's
And it was
no movie there. I mean, I guess if you like cars, like, oh, cool. It's
Yeah,
an
if you're a car
Evo.
guy.
Like, that's a cool car.
I can just think that if you like cars, there's way better ways to spend your time than than watching this.
Like a crappy CGI car movie from Malaysia.
I like cars. Are you saying I'm wasting my time?
I don't know how to break this to you. I don't know what you thought we were doing here.
Gonna spend an hour and a half talking about this movie nobody fucking saw. God damn it. I have kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be holding them right now.
In a way,
Playing catch.
This is a public service. Other people won't waste their lives after we do this podcast.
People were banging down the door and going out of their way to watch
Where can I get a hold of Wheelie? I need to watch Wheelie.
I'm here to tell you, don't. Father to father.
Yeah, so Wheelie takes Bella back home, and Wheelie's mom is just overjoyed that his son A has a friend, and she's a female car.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's going to be some grandbaby cars. I don't know.
Already Mama Carr's saying, you guys are going to get married and all this. And like throughout the movie, Bella keeps getting these phone calls from Hollywood. She gets one earlier where it's like,
It's the
Hollywood.
most generic calls ever.
They're like, your star making role is waiting. Come on out to Hollywood.
You just have to be brave. You just have
Yeah.
to be brave and take a chance. And like that's what they call it. It's like a robocall. Like it's like a spam call that I get like every other day. It's like, you just have to be brave. Just give us some money. Come.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
be a
She's
star.
going to be a big star.
You just
Now
got to
take off your panels.
pay for some headshots.
I don't know, like if it's like either being human trafficked or like responding to those calls. Bella doesn't have many options in this life.
No.
It's like
And in between every scene she's in, she like goes and checks her messages again, and there's a new message saying like, "This is still Hollywood, still waiting for you. The time is running out. You will have to make your mind up soon to come to Hollywood."
It really is a bleak movie in a way that like Cars isn't. Cars like has some melancholy about like what's been lost over the passage of time, but that's not a bleak movie. Like it's, you know, it has its sad moments. This movie's fucking bleak. Dude.
honestly, this
Yeah.
is like an outsider's perspective about what the industry's like, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It's pretty depressing.
But ironically, I don't think the movie knows it's a bleak portrait
No.
of these things. It thinks it's like a fun kids movie.
Yeah,
but
it really
yeah,
just
totally.
seems like, you know, like, what do people like? People want to be famous. Starlets want to be famous. People want to win the big race. You need to be a Latino if you want to work in the body shop. I don't know what it is. Like.
It reveals so much about its creator. Like,
and no lessons were learned. That's the best part.
It's really, I don't know what to make of it.
it's dark.
Yeah, so
Ben's goon. He approaches Wheelie.
hired goons.
His goons hired goons. They
Spy
they,
Hummer.
They offer him a race. They're like, "How about 1 million in cash? Cash.
Why do you keep saying cash?
He's like, "Why do you keep repeating it?" I'm like, "Okay, that's like a joke almost." He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
cash. It's like echoing in his head. Stop saying cash.
Don't worry, we have a joke. Don't worry, we're gonna drive it right into the ground.
Yeah.
We'll keep doing it again and again.
Well, when
until-
you have one joke, you just work with what you got.
That's just,
Speaking from experience.
Oh yeah. Oh, there is. There is one more good one later, but we'll get to
yeah.
that.
So he can either win the cash, or he loses Bella if he loses. And he doesn't find out about this until the race starts. And I guess this is like a legally binding contract race where it's kind of like, I don't know what I don't know why he wouldn't just pursue Bella anyways, but anyways, that doesn't matter. Wheelie loses the race because Wheelie's a loser right now.
Well, he doesn't lose the race, actually. So Wheelie takes the race with Ben, and he uses his taxi knowledge for shortcuts.
Right. If there's one good thing about being a taxi, it's that we know shortcuts nobody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good foreshadowing.
Wheelie has the knowledge.
Yeah, and then he blows past a cardboard cutout of Ben, and then he wins the race. But of course it was a setup, and the cops arrest him for street racing.
That's right. So Wheelie wins the race, but there was no race at all.
Yeah.
It was all a big setup.
He wins the race, but he loses at life.
Yeah, Ben had called the cops on him like every fucking
Ben's a
bougie
fucking
piece of
narc,
shit.
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Dick.
He sucks.
A
So-
cab.
Bella's like, okay, I'm breaking off the wedding. Ben, I don't love you. You're not my soulmate. She
But
says.
Daddy will disinherit me if I don't marry. Wah! He like throws a real tantrum.
Yeah,
temper tantrum.
Like this, so much fucking drama talking about soulmates.
Yeah.
So cars in this one confirmed have souls.
Yeah.
Like, gag me with a fucking spoon. These are cars.
Still don't know if they don't
Look in
reveal.
the tunk. The soul's in the tunk. You must be in trunk.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it.
So Wheelie's locked up.
Yeah, he's on ice again.
Yeah, he's fucking locked up for a long time now. It's like, oh, street racing again. You're fucking done, buddy. Like, we're locking you up and throwing away the key. Like,
His mom won't come to visit him in prison because she can't bear to see him there.
like this is
Don't you know I'm in there with you, Wheelie? I can't see you. I'm in there
Yeah.
with you. Like,
A young black car like me.
I'm expecting Sean Penn and Susan Sarandon to take over the voice roles for a minute because they're just with
this
a
may
dead
as
man
well
walking.
be The Wire.
Yeah, it's fucking like Wheelie does time in this movie. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
But Putt Putt's there. He's got his little knowledge. He's like, "Oh, chip up, chin up, chin up. Don't worry, Mr. Wheelie. 2 days from tomorrow will be yesterday." And
So
he's like,
wise.
"I never thought about it that way."
You would think there'd be some more jokes in the setup of like what a car prison looks like too. It's like literally they're held in a cage and they're like chained to the floor. And like he like comes up like Magneto when it comes, and like as Putt Putt enters the prison, like you'd think maybe you'd get a run of jokes. This is like an opportunity to like put some jokes in.
Oh,
All
yeah.
you get is a joke where it's a car, a female car. She's crying with her boyfriend there, being like, "You wouldn't have ended up in here if you would just listened to me and gone left instead of right."
That's right.
I'm like, that's all you got?
Like compared to Cars, you'll get a crowd scene with so many cars, so much detail, you can't even pick it all up in one watching. That should have
Yeah.
been like this prison scene, going in, seeing every kind of car prison gag you could imagine.
No, we see one couple, and it's a crying woman car who has like a deadbeat,
Yeah.
tragic tale that's just happening on the sidelines. Like, that's what I mean. This movie's bleak.
Holy shit! This is like the longest 90 minutes of my life.
It's 80 minutes,
Oh my god!
including credits.
Oh no!
So, Putt Putt smuggles in some spicy oil. It's like oil, but it has like a spicy pepper on it. 'Cause, Asians. And the guard just like immediately confiscates it and drinks it and just goes, "Ow." Now we see Kaiser and his goons, and they're getting ready to catch Bella. And Bella's gone to visit Mama at Mama's garage.
And I'm not entirely sure why Bella is doing this.
She
met,
knows that fucking Wheelie's in the pan.
Well,
Yeah, she met Wheelie all of like I don't know. They're fast friends, I guess, but they
she
met.
fell in love with him.
Yeah,
They are in
I
love.
guess that's what it is. But I just
and Mama knows it. She
so Cars they do it like they really build the romance. Like there's tension at first between Lightning McQueen and what's the other car's name?
Sally.
Sally.
Yeah.
Like there's tension between Lightning McQueen and Sally.
Well, that they have a little. There's not a lot of romance in Cars, but like it is
They
the
take-
classic rom-com thing of like you go from like kind of disliking somebody and thinking they're a jerk to
Sure, they have some like formative experience or like meaningful experience, and Wheelie
Yeah.
doesn't do that.
Cars has arcs. Wheelies doesn't. Wheelies is a movie where a thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens, then it's the end.
It's that great screenwriting chestnut where you really just want to make sure your characters do nothing and learn nothing throughout the entire thing. So that
brilliant.
way at the end of it, nobody's learned or done anything. And
So Bella's gone to Wheelie's mom, and she's telling her she's got some fucking depressing, horrible sounding job in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I guess I'm going to go say goodbye to Wheelie. She's like, you go, child.
Yeah. Mama can't make it.
Yeah.
I'm just here dying of grief.
Well, after
God,
Wheelie,
you're the mom of the protagonist in a fucking kids
Yep.
movie. Be in your kid's corner. What the fuck?
Wheelie
man?
got in that big wreck at the start of the movie, and he promised Mama he would never race again. That was his promise to her. She was like, "You just be happy as a cab. You're a car, and you go on the road, and that's what cars were meant to do."
Doing an honest day's work. You're
Yeah.
driving nobody around. You're doing nothing every day.
So
of
he
your
did
life.
break
My
his
love
promise.
for you is conditional.
Well, she's kind of accepted it at this
You
point.
break those conditions. I don't love you anymore, child.
Bella's like, "Mama, why would he race after he promised you?" And she's like, "Well, you can take the race out of the car, but you can't take the
You can,
take the car
Yep,
out of the race."
Good enough.
you can take the race out of the car, but you can't take the car out of the race. But you can take the car out of the will if he races again.
You can't take the car to make him drink at the race.
Yeah, you can take a car to the race, but you can't make him race. Gets complicated, but
And I'm nodding along the pure cinema. This is
he betrayed Mama's trust.
So Bella takes off. She gets bugged by Kaiser's goons. And Putt sees her get captured, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, why are you
starts-
going in crazy circles everywhere? Oh my God, you're really crazy." And she's getting kidnapped.
yeah, these little devices, they're like
Carnage.
mind control devices for cars, where once they put them on there, then they
Yeah.
can just control them and take them wherever they want.
Drive him right into their cage
Yeah.
on the ship.
She got driven and taken away by Kaiser. So Putt then goes back to the fucking jail to see Wheelie again. We get to see that happen again. And
He has to like participate in like some sort of Running Man type thing
Yeah.
where like he's
Well, this is the yard scene.
yeah.
He has to go out to the prison yard, and he's like, "I'm sure all these guys are real nice." And he goes out there, and there's like, I don't know, fire trucks smashing smaller cars, and all the worst things you can imagine from prison are happening in this
yeah,
prison
it's
yard.
like
But-
Ricky-O, the story of Ricky.
yeah,
Just fucking people massacring each other in jail with no oversight.
Yeah, you got to be able to like punch a hole through somebody's chest if you want to live in this car prison.
yeah. There is some cop cars around policing things, but they don't care about this sort of thing. They're just there to keep the cars moving from their cell to the yard and
Yeah,
stuff.
and they got all sorts of cars in here, and this is where we kind of get like a little bit of a Mater stand-in, where there's this little hillbilly type of redneck car where he's like, "Oh, we got all kinds of cars in here. Some are worse than criminals. That one over there is a politician."
Oh yeah, that little joke.
I missed that one.
Yeah, well, you didn't miss much.
Politician.
A joke.
It's a joke. That's something.
And it's in line with the bleak worldview of this
And
movie.
aren't all politicians criminals, folks? Isn't that what you want in your kids'
That's
movies?
something my kid will find hilarious.
I guess that is their little attempt to infuse a bit of adult humor in here for the parents, but it's like, oh god.
It's the hackiest joke possible. It's like that fucking Jokatronic thing or whatever on The Simpsons where they're like, "We're going to replace you, radio host."
How about those clowns in Congress? Aren't they a bunch of clowns?
How does he keep up with the news like that?
Don't praise the machine. Like,
Yeah. Fuck. That thing will have our jobs any day.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tells Wheelie that Bella's been captured, and sure as sun comes up at day and the stars come out at night. Sometimes the stars don't come out. Anyway, she's gone. Even the comic relief is a bummer.
All these scooters
Yeah.
get together and they blow up the jail. They like knock over a tower or something.
Yeah, it's like right out of RRR. Like,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
most inspired prison breaking scene.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, man. I wish I was watching RRR instead of this. Even just right now, I'd rather be watching that fucking scene in RRR. It's so good. But, yeah, they go into a gigantic, easily accessible drain pipe.
Yeah.
There's just like a huge pipe that any idiot can drive into. They remove 2 screws to remove the grate, and they have an opening right into the yard of the prison.
Honestly, it's like that heist in Double Trouble, where it's like, well, don't worry, we have all these walls, but what about the gigantic tunnel underneath this whole thing?
Don't worry
Nobody's going to
about
figure that one
the
out.
easiest thing in the world to break in out of. But yeah, Putt pulls out his special petrol again. He calls it petrol in this. Or at least in the version I watched, not gas. The guard comes in and snags it and drinks it again, but this time she goes fully fucking nitro because it's too spicy. Shoots out the window, knocks over the towers, causes explosion. They just fucking murdered that guard. And he's
had
like,
it coming.
That's why you don't mix petrol and diesel and benzene and nitro and water.
Exactly. Putt-Putt's a chemist all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He knows how to make Agent Orange or whatever it is. Like, little
I am the
basement
one
lab.
who knocks.
This is like one of those horrible warehouse explosions where they're in a chemical storage lab where
Yeah.
you just can't put the fire out and it rages for 5 days or something.
And so, yeah, they break him out, and
Yeah.
countless died in this
Man,
jailbreak.
Wheelie shows why he got that name in this scene because he has to drive up like the steel tower that's been knocked over, and he has to like drive on his 2 wheels just on one side to get up it and get over the wall there.
Yeah.
Pretty badass.
We cut back to Bella, who they're scanning. They're like doing some intrusive full body scanning of her and like valuing out all of her parts.
Yeah, it's
They
like
siphon her gas.
it's like they're auditioning for a Weinstein film here. It's just too much.
Well, it's not that intrusive. There is a bit of a joke here, something that's resembling a joke. I didn't laugh, but it's like there's a CD in her fucking deck, and it says 50 greatest love song CD, value $1.
Yeah,
And they're like, oh, well, she's worth $500,001.
bum.
Yeah.
But it is something. They're trying, folks.
All lady cars love songs. Putt-Putt and Wheelie, they wear some disguises, and they're searching for Bella in the street, and it's just not going well, so Wheelie decides he has to gather up all the cabs in the city just to like search the entire city for Bella.
They're like the little birds of the Wheelie universe, where they're the urchins who just know all the corners and where all the action's happening.
All they do is drive around all day aimlessly. They don't have fucking fares.
Go down through alleys. And
Again, that's bleak. They're driving around doing nothing just to justify their meaningless existence.
God, it's a
One
metaphor.
or two of the cabs have the fucking full-on Apu fake Punjab accent.
Yeah,
Russell Peters.
yeah, and they're a different kind of cab.
Russell Peters can do it.
But I think Wheelie must have thrown out like a fake call for a fare here because all the cabs show up and they're pissed. They didn't expect to see Wheelie. They thought they were going to get a fare or something. And
My first fare of my life. I can understand why they were pissed. They're just lost souls wandering in the wilderness.
they're all. And there's also another joke here that kind of works. Wheelie has to give like an impassioned Aragorn from Lord of the Rings speech where he's like trying to motivate all the cabs to get together and like help him search. And I thought it was going to work, but no. Then all the cabs just kind of turn around and drive away from him.
Yeah, I'm not
kinda
going to help this guy get laid.
Yeah, most of them rightly leave.
There was the one. And
One is she's a fan of Wheelie from his racing days. and
she signed her side of her door with his tire at the Car Wars.
That's
earlier.
coming back.
yeah,
Great foreshadowing.
yeah, she's like, I saw her on the docks going to that rust bucket ship. Oh, and it's like, okay, we got to go to the docks.
Another massive coincidence, like at the movie, how Bella and Wheelie just both happen to be there seated next to each other. Here, she just happened to have seen the next piece of information that he needs to progress the plot along.
Okay, well, that's a thing that just happens in every movie, though. There's a lot. This is pretty contrived, but
It's like
I'll
this is
give
very
this movie a
extreme.
pass.
It's like, oh, you're looking for that Italian car? I happen to have seen her being kidnapped and loaded onto a boat, and here's the location. Go there.
So Wheelie's like, we got to go rescue her, but Putt-Putt, you got to stay. It's too dangerous. We can't risk Putt-Putt's life. Oh, God, no. Putt-Putt, the one who ruined your fucking life.
Well, I think this was his way of being like, Putt-Putt's gonna fuck this up if he comes along. So let's pass him off with some kind of excuse, like Putt-Putt, you're too much my best friend to come on this mission. You have to
Putt-Putt
stay
broke
on.
his ass out of jail.
Yeah.
Man, Putt-Putt's a ride or die homie. Like,
That's
I
true.
would bring Putt-Putt with me anywhere after that.
Wheelie is a fair weather friend.
yeah.
Wheelie sucks.
Putt-Putt is a little sycophantic. I guess he has like a life debt that he feels he has to pay for Wheelie or something, but he loved him before that, but like
He's like the Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, exactly.
I owe you life debt, Wheelie.
So now we get to kind of like the big climactic action sequence. We're on our Caribbean boat. We're gonna show down against Kaiser. Wheelie's gonna try to spring Bella out of her prison where she's just being held in the inhumane conditions. Like, I know she's a car, but god damn it.
Yeah.
Amy calls all the taxis again to come help, which doesn't make sense. Like, they didn't help before.
We
so
said
why?
no the first time.
It's like, but it's for love. So all the taxis come now, and they're willing to help for no particular reason.
It's like the end of The Rise of Skywalker, where all of a sudden all the fucking people that you didn't really know or care about just come in and help save the day.
Everybody's here.
Yeah. Basically, they just help them deal with the Latino stereotype thugs.
Yeah.
Who are guarding the docks, and they just like circle around them.
Yeah, and like in all this business they do in 2018, they do a cool guys don't look at explosions type joke where
Oh, yeah.
Wheelie's just kind of rolling away and there's a big explosion. They like really do a big nod and wink at the camera about how cool Wheelie is, and
It's a big shipping container. All the shipping containers are falling down, and they don't explode. And Wheelie's like, oh, man, where's my explosion? And that he does get an explosion later when something falls down.
Putt we see back in Chinatown, and he's picking up Chinese street food, and I guess he just like eats dumplings and fucking
Yeah.
sure.
sweet and sour pork and
That's what he-
fucking noodles.
If
and
you're ever
stuff.
wondering what Putt-Putt's doing when he's off screen, that's what he's doing. That's his character. He's just like sucking Wheelie's tailpipe and getting dumplings.
All the other vehicles eat oil and gas, but the Chinese ones eat fucking rice and
They run on something else.
yeah. This is when the Frankenstein truck. He's like, what are you doing, Putt? Shouldn't you be helping Wheelie? And he's like, oh, hashtag no friend, hashtag lonely, hashtag forever alone, Putt.
Poor Putt.
He seriously says hashtag.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up.
LOL, Larry. LOL.
Frank's like, oh, well, I found a replacement axle for Wheelie. You guys need some help? And he's like, you better go help. Wheelie. And Putt-Putt's like, oh, no, he told me not to go. And then he opens up a fortune cookie.
Yep.
And it says, friend in need is a friend indeed. Well, if a fortune cookie says to do it, I'm Asian, so I better follow that.
Open up the stay with your wife fortune cookie. If I'm going to nitpick certain circumstantial things kind of helping out the plot of this movie, I'm going to go for the fortune cookie one every time.
Yeah. Well, Putt is I think a lot of his little wise chestnuts that he drops throughout the movie he got from fortune cookies. I mean, earlier in the movie, he says something wise to Wheelie, and he's like, I got that from a fortune cookie. So we got Wheelie on the boat deck now of the Jamaican boatman. He's driving around, he's dodging the shipping containers. Putt and Mr. Frank sneak up on deck, but the Mexican cars come and grab them and put them in a cage.
Yeah, they get immediately captured and placed in cages alongside Bella.
We'll traffic you too.
And Wheelie's jumping around like
They're
a
going to
madman.
harvest their organs.
Yeah.
And right as he's about to, now the ship's fucking freaking out, and they start taking away, and he's about to jump on to the ship, and then he's tire spiked by the fucking cops.
Yeah.
I hate that when that happens.
Seriously, this cop fucking sucks.
Yeah, A-cab.
Yeah, it's Sergeant Street again. She's
Yeah.
back.
He explains, well, I mean, he broke out of jail, so I guess it makes sense they'd be looking
He's
for
a
him.
felon. They should have got the Tommy Lee Jones car to come and get him, though.
I want you to search every doghouse, hen house, and
I want you to
dog
search.
garage.
Yeah, exactly. Every painting garage, all body garage, car wash.
How does he convince them to let him go here? Because they got him all towed up.
He's
and-
just like, they're car nappers.
oh, okay.
And they're like, if you say so. And then they're like, well, what should we do? And they all just sit there and they're like, well, why don't you go get them? And they actually send a fucking civilian
Yeah.
to the ship to
Cowards.
insane.
Man, they've got him tied up to the tow truck, and the tow truck does a wind up and tosses him over to the boat because it's leaving the shore now or whatever. So he has to go.
How about you launch yourselves, you fucking pigs? You're gonna.
Yeah.
This is an international car napping ring, and you can't even be bothered to send one of your own. This is like those fucking school shooting fucking cops that are standing around. Oh, there's a shooting going on in there. We can't go in.
These are the Uvalde cops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A big time missed opportunity for at least the car, at least like Sergeant Street,
Street, I think.
Street.
Super baby.
Like, she should have gone in on the action at least and have like a bit of a buddy cop showdown. And that could have been something where
She should have had mounted guns.
that would have been sweet.
Or she should have died because she did her whole 1 week to retirement thing earlier. Like,
Well, they kept teasing that she was going to die. What a shame. She had 1 week left of retirement and she lived to the end of the movie.
And Wheelie and Bella back on the boat deck. They have a
Yeah.
minor collision, which is what you call a kiss when it's two cars. Just a little minor bumper to bumper, smooch each other.
If you say so.
Yeah. When he's thrown onto the ship, he opens his busted ass doors like wings
Yeah, this is
To
his Buzz
fly up
Lightyear moment.
and land on. I was wondering what you were talking
Yeah.
about with the Buzz Lightyear moment.
This is like, you will believe a car can fly. He opens his doors and twists them sideways. He needs that like extra 5 feet or whatever. He's not going to make it to the boat, but that gives him the aerodynamic form he needs to go a little further, I guess.
Yeah, so I
Makes
guess he's-
perfect sense. I
He's able to just kind of
calculated.
rotate his doors around that way, I guess.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, these cars are pretty nimble. They can do a lot in this movie.
Yeah, they can do way more than in cars.
Yeah, so
That's why this movie's better.
Yeah.
now he's having a showdown with Kaiser, and Bella's like hanging on to the side of the ship. She's like got her little wheels like
Oh, yeah.
hands hanging onto the side so she doesn't drop off into the ocean.
Then it cuts back and she's gone. You think she's died. Like,
Well, she does fall into the ocean. It's crazy.
yeah, that would have been it.
It's a watery grave.
But she's still chained up. Like they thought that they freed Bella, but and got her to go, but she's like still attached. Like it's just a real shoddy job all around.
Yeah. So Wheelie's fighting this big fucking truck, Kaiser, and he spills oil barrels and he ignites them with a tire burnout.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's like he's playing Divinity Original Sin
He
or something.
burns the villain
Smart.
alive.
Well, and he also thinks he's like, I'm pretty sure as he does it,
Kaiser survives this though.
What?
Yeah, he
Wheelie's-
does a sideways slide into
Oh,
Kaiser's
right.
front and lets him push him into some barrels, and he blows him sky high. Somehow the explosion is big enough to launch a multiple ton fucking
Yeah.
pickup truck all the way like fucking 500 meters back to the shore where he gets arrested.
right where he can be arrested.
Right.
And I was bummed out by that. I was like, just kill that fucking guy.
Like,
We saw another car die.
And
Throw
it-
this guy into the ocean.
Kaiser's a monster.
Wheelie was trying to kill him because at that point Wheelie thinks Bella's dead when he's having the final showdown with Kaiser. So I think he says something to the effect of like, "I'm gonna take us both out then." As he like Wheelie lights the gas on fire. He's like, "This is gonna be a murder suicide."
That's insane.
Again, I've got kids here. What the fuck is this movie doing? Who is this for?
I'm taking us all to fucking hell.
You're going with me, Kaiser.
Tell Satan I said hi. After you, sir.
Could have used a couple badass lines here at least.
Totally. Like if you're like blowing up your baddie in the movie, you gotta at least have like a "you're fired" or whatever.
Yeah.
Like this movie's obviously not afraid to rip shit off, so
Yeah.
just take some old Arnie line and just use it. I don't know what the
That would've been
statute of
perfect.
limitations
Hey,
is on
Kaiser,
that.
let off some steam. Insane that they throw a civilian onto that ship to stop all these dangerous criminals. And of course it works.
And not just a civilian. He's barely more than a child.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
coded as being like a teenager or something, like 18 or something like that. Like he's a real hotshot youngster.
And he's just a broken down taxi cab now. He's not like, even like he's a race car at this point where he can like has super speed. He can zip around and stuff.
He's not like a super spy like Mater.
No.
Anyway, Crank, the Jamaican ship, he fishes Bella out of the ocean. He's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, the cops are coming. I'm so busted, I'm so busted. And you're like, oh, it's a fucking heroic moment. I'm like, literally, he's shitting his pants because he knows he's going to get scuttled.
He is an
when the
opportunist.
cops fucking catch him.
He's trying to take it down from like a murder one to a manslaughter or something like that.
yeah.
Maybe he'll get parole in 20
Yeah, on
years.
good
10 years.
behavior or something.
He's been a pretty crucial part of some heinous crimes. He needs to lighten the load a little here.
Yeah, so he pulls his crane, gets Bella out of the ocean, and
Hey, remind them I'm the one who saved you, man.
yeah, that's what he says too.
Yeah.
Then that's pretty much the ending. Wheelie's back to racing. He's got his taxi checkers on and everything. That's
Yeah.
his fucking steez now, and
Man.
God bless him. We love Wheelie Wheels.
Yeah. Started off racing. He did a thing. He did another thing. He did another thing. And now he's racing again.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
His character changed not at all.
Bravo. Bravo.
Yeah. That was Wheelie.
That was a really good movie,
That
guys.
was really good. I had a really good time talking about Wheelie.
I was really uncomfortable with the wacism, but other than that, I really enjoyed myself. There's only so many wheel puns you can do.
What our listeners can't see is that Mendez is right behind Mitchell with a knife to his throat, telling him what to say.
I'm wheelie frightened right now.
I guess it was a movie. It was something else. It was bad. It was borderline unwatchable. It was unwatchable for me. Not even borderline. It was really tough.
I've seen shittier stuff on YouTube for kids.
Yeah, I've never had to like sit and watch it all and take notes on it though.
Yeah, you can say the plot is coherent for Wheelie, such as it is. You can follow it.
I could barely follow it. The sound mixing in this movie overall was atrocious. So if there's ever anything going on in the background, whether it be the noise of cars racing or the awful soundtrack, I could barely understand what was going on.
Yeah.
In the quiet moments, I could get it, but other times, it was a bit tough.
The soundtrack is bad too. We didn't mention. It's
Which is
just like
Makes you miss Rascal Flatts, doesn't it?
I would have fucking killed for some Brad Paisley or Rascal Flatts or Sheryl Crow or whatever.
Yeah, so we just talked about Wheelie. We talked about Cars earlier. We're gonna give our final thoughts here. Mitch, what do you think? Which one are you going to bat for?
Well, yeah, Wheelie is a pretty transparent thing, I think. I think it was like a slap-together product with talking cars and bright primary colors moving around that they thought, oh, we're going to dupe some parents into buying this. It's talking cars. They're going to put it on in front of their kids and entertain them for 2 hours or whatever. Yeah, there's not much to recommend Wheelie. I could not really, in good conscience, recommend anyone really seek it out. Unless you're a real big car guy like us. But no, yeah, Cars is way better. It has the character arcs. It's got better animation, despite being like over a decade older. It's got an actual story. It's amazing. I give my vote to Cars.
Amazing.
It's amazing, he says.
It's amazing. A story.
Put that on the poster.
There's characters. There's a story. There's a music. You'll love it.
It's wonderful. Yeah, I think I've made my thoughts pretty clear. I'm glad I didn't show Wheelie to my kid. That was originally my plan, was to make him watch both movies.
Fuck him up for life.
But I'm glad I screened it for myself I didn't need to see the life go out of his eyes and all of his innocence be lost, because I feel that's exactly what would have happened if I had shown him this. I'm not one of these Gen Zers or whatever who's going to say it's a classic or it's a great movie, but I think it's a perfectly fine movie for kids, and I think adults can maybe get something out of it too. Yeah, Cars is pretty nice. Pretty nice. My opinion of it grows a little bit higher every time.
Yeah, so Cars is nice. It's fine. I don't like Cars that much. If my kids want to watch it, they'll throw it on. I'm not going to grumble or complain about it. Wheelie is unwatchable. Obviously, it's Cars. I think throw it on. It's fine. It's fine. It didn't really move the needle for me too much. It runs long, but somehow
Didn't
Wheelie
get your
is
RPMs
like it didn't get my
revving up high.
RPMs. It didn't push me into the red like Wheelie did. I'll say that much. Somehow Wheelie
My
being
check engine light was flashing the entire time.
it's a half hour shorter than Cars, and it seems like so much longer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've used this metaphor in the podcast before, but it's like that machine in The Princess Bride where, like, as you put it on, like, it'll like suck out so many years of your life, and like Wheelie just like really pushed it up to 20 for me, whereas Pixar's kind of in their heyday. It's not their best work by a long shot, but it's good. It has jokes. It's funny. Like Mitchell said, there's a story. There's
definitely a story.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
And this really is, I guess, by all definition, a movie, but barely.
It meets the runtime requirements.
Yeah. If you like Wheelie, I'd suggest watching season 2 of The Wire.
Exactly.
I thought you were going to say, if you like Wheelie, consider getting mental health help today. Check yourself into an asylum.
Yeah, so I think we're all out of gas on this episode, but next time we're going to be talking about a couple of basketball movies. If I've done my math right, we're going to be right in the middle of the NBA playoffs, so we're going to do classic basketball movies above the rim, and we're going to compare that to Slam Dunk Ernest.
Yeah.
So
It'll be Ernest's first bad movie, Maven Ernest.
Yeah,
He's been in hundreds of them.
yeah, and I think we can return to that well later.
Hundreds.
At least a dozen.
I'm happy to be talking about Ernest. Ernest, I've watched him a ton of my childhood. I'm happy to revisit
I
him.
love
Yeah.
Ernest.
Yeah, he's charming. He's a America's lovable goofball.
Yeah.
So until next time, when we're getting down with some basketball, If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, share it to some other lowlifes if you know any. And until next time, thanks for checking in. I'm Vaughn.
I'm Mitchell.
I'm Vern, know what I mean?
Smell you later.